champion, USA 1. Late in the year, Steve Wilkie took over for Rod Litzow, but now Wilkie becoming a more experienced driver. Can he return that truck to the form of old?
That seems to be the big question. We get a lot of people all over the country want to know, when is Wilkie going to turn the USA 1 around? When is Wilkie going to be able to drive that truck like Rod Litzow drove it? Well, believe me, Wilkie believes in himself. Every Jasmer believes in Wilkie. It's just a question of time.
Thanks, Army. Now let's go to Chris Chapman. She's inside the Charleston Civic Center. Chris has got more on today's Monster Truck Racing program.
Quick.
Out of Syracuse, New York, Chris Tuffley's got some problems, and we'll be seeing if he's going to be able to run at full strength later. We talked about him in the opening segment. Steve Wilkie, maybe as much pressure on him as any driver in the sport, taking over USA 1 full-time this year. And John Kwasniewski in the Buffalo Tremor. Army, I know you like Johnny K's chances in 1990.
I really do, and I tell you why, you're looking at two extremes in the driver. Steve Wilkie, high-strung, always on a razor's edge. Meanwhile, Johnny K, this kid is from the 60s, in my opinion. Laid back, easy going, and he'll go for you in a heartbeat. Look at this. And we just learned something on that run. The hill, the bounce you take coming off that hill can pay dividends. Wilkie proves it. Look at this, a 475.
That should put him up in the elite in qualifying at the Charleston Civic Center. We're going to watch it again. USA 1 isolated here on Steve Wilkie, Army.
Watch the front wheels. They don't kick up. See, they just ease right over the set of cars. Man, he's making a smooth run out of it. They do not worry about the hill. They're jumping it already in qualifying, Scott.
When we return, we'll be coming at you. His several fast losers, two of them to be exact, will be coming back in the quarterfinal round. And Marvin laid down a good shot. He may come back, so he's got to keep working as if he'll get a call.
Right now, he's outside. The word we get is he's going just like he is coming back. Star Monster, youngest driver on the circuit, 19 years old. Who's he go up against? Red, white, and blue. True Value Hardway, USA 1 of Steve Wilkie.
Easy win for USA 1. Wilkie got him out of the hole and took the Star Monster all the way. You know, Wilkie seems to be more confident every week we watch him. You know, he's got big shoes to fill. Rod Litzow has flat laid down a reputation in a couple of years of competition. Wilkie has a lot to live up to, but he gets better every week out.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. He's got what it takes. It's just a question of getting it dialed in.
He's also really got that cocky attitude that USA 1 had with Litzow, now has with Wilkie. You either love him or you love to hate him. Army's got him now.
Well, Steve Wilkie is one driver that's always been an excitable individual. You're just about as excited as I've ever seen you, son.
Well, the adrenaline gets pumping, Army.
The next round's coming up. Are you going to be a player for this thing? A lot of people say, I don't know if he can drive it or not. I know he can tune it. Can you drive this truck to a win?
3 words. It's on the floor.
Steve Wilkie, and there's the familiar USA 1 throwing that finger in the air. I'll tell you, he tends to come after him here in 1990. Tough competition, though, in Charleston. We'll see what he...
West Virginia.
Thanks, Chris. That's coming up. But right now, it's time for the Crunch of the Week.
Hold on to your seats for the amazing Crunch of the Week. Brought to you by Micro Machines, the #1 colossally collectible vehicles in the world. If it doesn't say Micro Machines, it's not the real thing.
This week's Crunch of the Week, Army, may seem like a little deja vu. It was a year ago in Chicago. Rod Litzow and USA 1 said, hello, Wall.
Boy, that one scared everybody right there.
The USA 1 taking out the wall in Chicago, and it's kind of appropriate with Wild Hair hitting the wall tonight in Charleston. Here's the replay, and watch him go in and take out a lot of brickage in Chicago.
What happened? The front axles were broken on the truck when he tightened the brakes. They were just not there. The rear wheel turning backwards. See, the front wheel still going forward. Bam! Right into that wall.
Rod Litzow and USA 1 really crunching her on the Crunch of the Week. Stay tuned, the quarterfinals will be coming up next here on Tough Track. Welcome back for the quarterfinal round of Monster Truck Racing, TNT style. The Major League getting ready to go in the round of 8. Steve Wilkie, the True Value USA 1, will take on Thunder Chicken. So let's just take a minute. Earlier, Army talked to Wilkie about filling the shoes of '88 world champion Rod Litzow. Here are Steve's thoughts on the matter.
Steve Wilkie, as driver of the USA 1, you jumped up and took over some pretty big shoes. A lot of the spectators around the country are asking us just a point-blank question. When is Steve Wilkie going to be able to drive the truck like Rod Litzow drove it?
Well, I mean, that's a hard question to answer. Rod undoubtedly is one of the best in the country at it. The major thing is time in the seat. It's an unnatural act to take a 6-ton truck and point it at a wall, much like, a stack of cars even. I've been doing exhibition for 2 years. Everett's got confidence in me to drive the trucks and not be aware of breaking the trucks. You got to go out there and just literally pound on it. In doing exhibition, I don't use any ramps, so there's a lot more physical stress on the truck, and also me. It's just a matter of being in the seat and getting the feel of the truck in an indoor event like this. Outdoors, it's a little easier. These guys that we run against, they're the best in the country, and for me to jump into the seat and try and beat some of these guys, it's just got to come from within.
Do you have any doubt that it will come?
Oh, none at all. We got some of the best equipment in the country. We've proved that. We've been upside down several times, as you know, and we come back the next day or the next week to win the event. We try to preserve the truck, but we'll win at all costs, and that's the whole point, that everybody's out here to win.
Boy, USA 1 has struggled at times, has been great at times, and right now it looks like a problem. They're trying to get transmission fluid into USA 1 as he tries to go against Thunder Chicken in the quarterfinal round. And Army, this is something that's been recurring since really late last year and early into this year. Transmission troubles for USA 1.
Yeah, and here's what's happening right here. I told you earlier about Wilkie. He's kind of high-strung. He is normally the man putting the transmission fluid in. He's very impatient. Well, look at it with his crew. He knows what it takes to get the job done. He knows how to do it. He just can't do it. He's trapped in the truck in the driver's compartment. The transmission problem is a result of starting these trucks right on a hill. You notice the heat coming out? Wilkie may have made a... Well, he's got a lot of problems right now. I don't think he's going to make the call.
He is basically in position to get to the starting line, but he's not on the starting line.
And something else, Wilkie had lane choice. He's 3600ths of a second quicker than Thunder Chicken and goes into a lane that he's not familiar with. I don't understand why he's doing this.
Wilkie has it running, however, and is pulling to the starting line to go up against the Thunder Chicken. Now,
the telltale sign, will the truck move? If the transmission's gone away, he's going to sit there.
There's nothing happening right now. Smoke coming from USA 1. Wilkie, he's taking off the helmet. He must be done. He slams it down. Hey, we don't need to say another word. That look on Wilkie's face when he buried his head, that's it.
Well, that is a long road to hoe right there. I wonder what's going through his mind, Scott.
Utter disgust. I guarantee it, Wilkie. You just talk to him. I mean, he really put in his own words how competitive, how intense he is, how badly he wants to get everybody to quit talking about Rod Litzow and talk about Steve Wilkie.
Talk about me.
And now he's fired it back up here.
Yeah, what it is, if the engine cools down, the transmission cools down, it'll pull itself. He's feeling it. See, the truck has a tendency to want to move. Now, he will not be able to make the race. What they're doing, the TNT officials are going and picking the third quick loser. Oh, we've got a little bit of a problem. The torque converter, a little fire in the torque converter is what happened there. A little bit of liquid got out on the hot exhaust. Wilkie immediately, he comes out of the truck now.
USA 1 will not be able to go, and Thunder Chicken's going to have to race. Let's clarify what's happened here. USA 1 was there, but according to Tracy Smart, the starter, he was not actually at the starting line. He did not get to the starting line and get a thumbs up. So they're going to bring Buffalo Trimmer in here to race Thunder Chicken.
Okay, the reason they do that, in TNT Motorsports, you see a replay with the torque converter fire. After the first round, there are no bye runs and eliminations. People see side-by-side racing after the first round. Thus, the kid out of New York gets a break. The kid out of northeast Minnesota goes out on a hook. Boy, that's tough. This could be the start of a long year for those boys.
So the 5-minute rule coming into effect. I'm sure Kit Raring and Thunder Chicken not wild about it because he was there and ready to go. But technically, USA 1 just did not answer the call, even though he was out there close to the starting line. He was never officially staged to start. So now Chicken's going to have to beat Buffalo Trimmer. Has caught up with Steve Wilkie.
Steve, how do you feel? You get all the way to the line and then a torque converter blows and you're out.
This is TV, Chris. I can't. Of course, it's disheartening. We were strong. We'll be back tomorrow. But it's a sport. That's all I can say, really.
Now, you're a little concerned that you got to the line and then you were pulled off the line. Tell me about that.
Well, the rules say you have to bring the truck to the line, okay? And if you read between the lines, that means the light has to go green. The light didn't go green. I couldn't move. We dumped tranny fluid in it and tried several things, and I couldn't move. So I feel they're going to take the round money and, you know, whatever goes along with the light going green, so to speak.
Could be very big in a close points race because, indeed, that cost him 3 points he would have got for starting the race. Not a good start in the world points race for USA 1. When we come back, the wild hair
There's no playing.
How about Steve Wilkie driving a USA 1 truck? He was a mechanic. He's stepping up to the driving chores. Is he going to come around and be a player this year for the national championship, or are you going to worry about him at all?
I'm not going to worry about him too much. You know, he's still got a lot to learn. Steve, he's a decent driver now, but he hasn't got that bonsai in him, I don't think, but we'll find out.
Say Wilkie's a decent driver, Wine's an okay driver. Who's the best driver on the monster truck?
4.66. He'll definitely be getting lane choice, at least in the first round of competition. You know, last week, USA 1 was in the middle of a real controversy. Transmission problem. He couldn't get it started and was actually sitting at the starting line, but not officially up to the starting line. So he couldn't qualify for points. He didn't get a chance to race. They had to pull him off. And then a transmission fire when he refired it. You know, the question is, did he just really almost set the thing on fire on purpose?
You know, I don't know. He's a very high-strung individual. You see the smoke coming out. What's happening? He's up on the RPMs right now. It's almost like you're going to go or you're going to blow. And in this case, it blew. However, I don't think he was trying to tear the vehicle up. He's the mechanic on that vehicle. He knows how much work is involved in it. I think the young man was just disgusted. And I think that tells the story right there, Scott.
And, you know, when he did fire it up, I know he was upset about not being able to get an official start because it cost him 3 points, and who knows down the road what that may matter. But I think he's more upset about these continuing transmission problems. They just can't, you know, Everett Jasper putting everything he has in this truck. These guys are working hard, but right now it's that one component, the transmission. But as you well know, everything's got the mesh army to win at this level of competition. And there you see, he fired it up, the fire started, and there was a question whether he was just kind of, you know, cooking it because he was so angry.
I don't think he was. Like I say, he knows what it takes to make this thing go. Yeah, he was frustrated, but he's still professional enough. That's just going to happen. I think he was just trying to take one last shot. Maybe it'll hold just for one last shot to get those 3 points. Scott, it's only the second week. But that might wind up costing that young man a chance at a national championship.
You never know when you run it down, battling for the title. All the best in the world each week. And now USA 1 is going up against Star Monster in qualifying. Now, just to lay down a time, but this will give us an indication if that transmission is right tonight and how he's running against Chris Tupley, the youngster in the Star Monster out of Syracuse, New York.
Now, Chris is the youngest driver on the circuit. This is the first year he's run with us on a full-time basis. Only 19 years old. He's a class individual. He's got a future in this sport. He goes up against the beautiful red, white, and blue True Value Hardway USA 1 of Wilkie. There's no smoke. Everything looks good. I think USA 1 is back and well for this race.
Boy, he laid down a shot.
Whoa, look at the time.
4:52. Outstanding time for Steve Wilkie and USA 1. Third best time overall. Here's the way they'll pair up. Look next as Buffalo Tremors coming out against that guy. Steve Wilkie in USA 1. Last week, he couldn't get her rolling because of transmission problems at the starting line. So let's see how USA 1 gets to the starting line this time around. You know he wants to tighten up and get those points, but he wants to get the win over Johnny K.
I'll tell you what's going on right now. Johnny K is second-generation motorsports. His dad was a drag racer. There's no trick in drag racing. You make them burn down on a line. USA 1 had trouble with the transmission last week. Johnny K is going to let him think about it, load that transmission up this week, and hopefully do the same thing. That's exactly what's going on right now. This kid is playing like he's a professor in that red truck, and it's working for him.
It looks like USA 1 didn't see the green, and Buffalo Tremor gets him. And you're right, Army. He orchestrated that one as much with the mind and the sight job as he did with horsepower.
Well, that was a move of an old pro, and he's just a kid. He's going to be a black grave digger.
The Outlaw, Nick Rossi's beautiful truck out of Pennsauken, New Jersey, meets USA 1. Steve Wilkie driving USA 1. Mike Wine driving Jersey Outlaw, a true Ford Chevy rivalry. And Army, looks like we got the rivalry starting already, so we can't get anybody up to the starting line here.
Both drivers are trying to burn the other guy down. They're trying to make the engines get hot. Now, USA 1 has a history of getting hot on the line. The Ford knows it. Oh, a little bit of a hole shot right there. The Ford goes on through. I don't know if the light turns green or not. We may have a complete race in the Chevrolet. Look at that.
Smoke and fire.
Torque converter in the transmission. The burn down work, Scott.
Once again, USA 1 with a problem, transmission-related, fire-related, and you can see pictures telling the story. Steve Wilkie about as dejected as a driver's going to get in this business. Let's go over to Army with Mike Wine.
Well, Mike Wine in drag racing, they call that a burn down. Whose idea was that?
Oh, God, I know how it feels. I went through 2 of them. Last night, we even had to pull ours out and recheck it. We went over, we were talking to him in the pit. We even loaned him some of our tools and stuff. We wanted to run each other. For 1 year, we wanted to run each other. I wanted this one, and Steve wanted this one so bad. I didn't want it to end this way. I mean, I'm glad I advanced, but I want to run him, and I want to run him heads up.
Why did each one of you wait for the other guy to go in that starting line first? Neither one wanted to move. Tracy Smart was trying to get somebody to move. But when the green light, when he stayed first, then the green light came on, he didn't move at all. You just went after it.
Yeah, it's head game. It's exactly head game. He knows if I sit there too long, I'll overheat. I know if he sits there too long without clearing his motor out, he richens it up. He loses power off the line.
USA 1 won the first ever world title in 1988, but last year was nothing but bad luck. Then Rod Liftow decided to rest for a while to heal from all those nasty spills last year. Early in 1990, the rotten luck continues for Steve Wilkie.
And obviously disappointed Steve Wilkie. Once again, you had trouble at the line. How are you feeling right now?
Just dejected, tired, depressed. I feel sorry for my guys. I feel sorry for the fans in Charlotte or Charleston here. It runs better than that. Something's wrong. We got to go home and fix it.
Do you have any idea what it is?
We went through the entire transmission last night and rebuilt the truck and thought we had it right. Obviously, we've got to do something differently. I don't know. We even went back to the original gearing. Sorry.
Steve Wilkie in USA 1 now head back to Minnesota and to the drawing board. When we return, more first round action on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. Crusher gets the victory here in Memphis. Army, you mentioned a moment ago St. Paul, Minnesota. Let's look at highlights from the Monsters in St. Paul. USA 1 in the semifinals against Thunder Chicken, and Steve Wilkie comes away with the victory.
But you know, the old Thunder Chicken pushed him all the way again, didn't he?
The other semifinal, Outlaw and Nightlife, give it to Dave Wysorek. Another appearance in a Monster Smash for the Nightlife, but this one goes to USA 1 and Steve Wilkie's first event victory.
You know, it took place in front of his own home crowd.
Awesome call. All right, Steve Wilkie and USA 1, our first look in 1990 against the new and improved auto value playing for keeps and Jesse Berge from Wyoming, Michigan.
Berge's just trying to get some points this afternoon, involved in a highway accident on the way to the event. Do not look for a hard run from the blue Chevrolet. USA 1, he's going to lay down a rocket ride for you.
Wilkie gets the victory over playing for keeps and will move into the quarterfinals. Another look at the run for Steve Wilkie in USA 1.
Wilkie had it covered all the way through. Like I say, Jeff Berge having some problems getting to the event.
The win goes to Steve Wilkie, Army's winning.
Gave a good run out of a not-so-trick lane. Looks like you're getting some strange bounces out there.
Oh, yeah, Army, the first mount is really steep. You see a lot of dirt. If you don't stay in it, this time I didn't shift at all. I used one gear, and it seems to work a little better. I get a little more RPM, and that way when I attack the ramp, I got more tire speed, and I get more air.
We were talking to you the last time we had you on television. We asked you when you were going to take that first win. I understand that came last week in St. Paul, Minnesota, so you're not a rookie anymore. more, son. Congratulations, and we'll see you in that next round.
Thanks, Army.
Boy, Wilkie, Everett Jasper, the whole crew was absolutely thrilled. Almost a sigh of relief that they finally got back in victory lane.
Well, those guys have been under a whole lot of pressure. Speaking of pressure,
Well, Ford fans, Andy Brass and the Big Sweat really laid it on him here to start it off. He knocked Awesome Kong off. Here's a Chevrolet confrontation. USA won in the Carolina Crusher.
boy,
Give
that
it
was a
to
good
Porter.
Yeah, good run, but the Crusher pulled it off. Steve Wilkie is coming along in this truck. You got to give credit where credit's due. Porter's going to the next round, but Wilkie is starting to build a nest to that white truck, and I'm glad to see it.
Gary Porter, runner-up a year ago in the World Championship points chase, gets off on a good foot in Memphis here in 1990, beating USA 1. Scott Stevens brings out King Crunch. You know, USA 1, despite a recent win in Minnesota, is still having his problems. It looks like he might have slept a little on the starting line. We've got him in the pit.
That's what it feels like. Gary just got a better light. I'm kind of new to the racing right now. I've been doing exhibition for a couple of years, but there's no excuses. Gary just got a good light. I got beat by a good competitor. True Value and Chevrolet, I think they did everything they could, but Gary is a better man tonight.
Let's listen in again. Scott Stevens talked with crew chief Kevin Ford.
And they're going to have to tow Steve Kane's truck off. Jeff Dane owns that truck, and they'll be working fast and furious. Next matchup in the first round, number 1, 2 years ago in the World Points Chase, USA 1 with Steve Wilkie driving for Everett Jasmer out of Minnesota, the True Value sponsored Chevrolet, against Jesse Berge's playing for keeps, the Auto Value sponsored Chevy out of Wyoming, Michigan.
Scott, do not look for a hard race. I tell you why. Jesse Berge was involved in a tremendous highway accident just a few hours ago trying to get to the event. He just went to the line to try to get some points. USA 1 should advance. I'm calling it up front. That's what it looks like. Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. And that's a good move by Jesse Berge because he doesn't know if that truck has really been damaged or not. The USA 1, he does know that he's going to the next round.
Steve Wilkie getting the victory as he is able to beat Jesse Berge. And once again, it's Army call with Berge just feeling the equipment out after his problem. Very slow off the starting line. It's an easy win for Steve Wilkie in USA 1. Continuing to gain more experience, Wilkie, now the driver of USA 1, works his way over to Army Armstrong.
Well, Steve Wilkie's going in some big shoes to fill, but you look like you're just taking it one step at a time and doing a good job. It looked like an awfully smooth run out there, Steve.
Well, that's about it, Army. I can't fill Rod's shoes. All I can do is create some for my own. True Value, Master Mechanic, Chevrolet, Everett Jasmer, all the guys at the shop, I got to do something for them. Those are the shoes.
It's amazing how many guys are behind you. We'll see you in that next round. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Army.
Rod, of course, Rod Litzow, who drove USA 1 to the World Championship in 1988. Steve Wilkie used to be the crew chief on that truck. Litzow a little banged up from all the beating and banging he took in that truck, and now Wilkie the driver. Bennett Clark. Our next first round matchup, a battle of big bad Chevrolets. USA 1 and Awesome Kong. Steve Wilkie drives USA 1 out of Minnesota. Steve Kane from deep in the heart of Texas, Killeen, Texas, driving the Awesome Kong machine.
Motors in the back of the red truck, motors in the front of the white truck, both of them equal in horsepower. Red truck from Texas goes that next round.
Awesome Kong and Steve Kane. They pulled him out of here with the front end loader a few minutes ago, but he comes back with a strong win over USA 1. Let's look at it again, Army.
Both trucks came over the first hill. They negotiated the first hill awfully good. But again, nobody's making straight runs. This inline camera really gives you some perspective as to how much these guys are driving these ramps.
So with Digger not at full power, he will still try to knock off Steve Wilkie in USA 1, one of the fastest improving drivers on the circuit. He had big shoes to fill with Rod Litzow giving up that seat in USA 1 after winning the World Championship in 88, finishing third in 89. Wilkie seems to get better each and every week, and you know he gets fired up to run against the Digger.
Yeah, he gets psyched up, and he doesn't seem to get better. He really is. This guy is coming in, really trying to get into some big footsteps in front of him of Rod Litzow. Wilkie's a good driver. Look at this. Look at what a run. Nose over. He was going high side and kept his foot right up in the throttle. But USA 1 into that next round, Scott.
7 cylinders or not, Digger didn't back off. He went full tilt, but not enough to get it done. This may be the best race ever by Steve Wilkie in the USA 1 truck. And when it nosed up, he just stayed on it. It gets him the victory. Army's with him now.
All right, Steve Wilkie, I can tell you're pumped. Everybody in Memphis is pumped, but that was better than a blue ticket ride at Disney World. Son, you should have seen the look on your
semifinal round. Now a couple of Chevrolets. The True Value sponsored USA 1 and Steve Wilkie will take our in-truck camera along for the ride here as he takes on Buffalo Trimmer and John Kwasniewski. So we'll see the race, then we'll get a look at Steve Wilkie's ride inside the cab.
We've already watched Wilkie go through a ritual, psyching himself up in that big white truck on the right side. He really gets pumped up. You better believe in what you're doing. Wilkie lining up in a white truck. Out of Minnesota, New York, going after him in a red truck. Whoa, what's the spin? God, he is coming within an eighth of high side in that truck and just barely pulls it out.
But he's keeping in the throttle, and that is actually giving him more speed as he's keeping contact. Watch him. Look at the angle. You can see when you got to look at the crowd in back of Wilkie exactly how bad his angle was. Straight up and down, almost nosediving it, but the wheels, the front wheels were pulling him through, and he gets the win.
You got to power out in the monster right now. Full throttle is what brings him out. Meanwhile, the Trimmer, boy, he's got his hands full on the far side. The same problem, Scott.
Unbelievable that Johnny K didn't go over that time, because he really, watch at the end of the run on the left side of your screen, the Buffalo Trimmer, and how much trouble he starts to get in. Just like Wilkie, he high-sides it, and then a wild bounce at the end, but the Trimmer does not go over. However, the suspension may be a little worse for wear, as he really got a rough ending to that ride. The victory goes to Steve Wilkie, USA 1 out of Spring Lake Park, Minnesota. The True Value Chevrolet getting a big win. Wilkie's with Army.
Well, Steve, you know how wild your ride was just then? Yeah. Okay, Buffalo Trimmer had one just like you right next to you. That was scary.
Well, that's what it's taking, Army. Hey, you can't play no games anymore. We're coming on. We're hammering 1,500 horsepower and attacking that hill. And when you come over the hill, you're going to leave the hill. You come and hit the cars like that, and you're going to go nose over. It's that simple, and we just got to learn to deal with it.
And when we come back, we're going to deal with even more quarterfinal round racing. We don't know if it can get any wilder than this, but it might.
Landed the front end coming back and hitting the bottom of the cab, and when it does that, we've been to the lower bar. Now the lower bar, I carry enough spares with me that I can pretty well change one every round, but that poses a problem along with the transmission. If I clear the hill, hit the hill real hard, and land all four wheels with the power on, a lot of times we just snap in transmission. We get too much wheel speed when we land, it connects, and something has to break.
Scott, he was talking about that front end tucking under. That's exactly what happened to Scott Stevens earlier.
Ford versus Chevy, Bigfoot and USA 1.
Whoa, Bigfoot came out. Whoa, no! He got her shut out. We're standing at the end of the track, Scott, and I tell you, these cameramen are taking you right in the middle of these monster truck races, and it's scary from down here.
USA 1 gives Bigfoot a whale of a push. I'm going to tell you, Steve Wilkie is coming of age as a rivalry, not only between Ford and Chevy, but between the two most successful owners of trucks. Bob Chandler's Bigfoot, Everett Jasmer's USA 1 is renewed here in 1990. 2 years ago, USA 1 beat Bigfoot for the title. Last year, USA 1 was a better truck. This year, Bigfoot seems to have the advantage. But Steve Wilkie's making up some ground. We've caught up with Wilkie in the pit. Let's get his thoughts right now.
Well, the rear tire's hitting that first car again. She goes nose over, and anytime you run against one of the foot trucks, you got to lay it on the boards and hold it there, and that's what we did. And she got a little squirrely, but you drive it out.
In 1989, Equalizer 1.
I'd like to do the best I can to beat it.
I don't think the design of the truck is a problem, but they should have been out running with us that in 1989, but I don't know. What do you do about it? That's the politics.
I tell you what, Scott, he just told you the trick of monster truck racing right there in one fell swoop.
Steve Wilkie brings out USA 1. Now here is the fastest improving man in the sport today. And I say that unabashedly. There's no doubt in my mind. Every time Wilkie takes to a track, he looks better and better. He's taking on a rookie, Ken Deppy in Whiskey Business.
Ken's a new driver, like you say, to the sport. Wilkie, you know, what can you say about this guy? I believed in him all along. He's got some tough shoes to fill, but look at this.
Uh-oh, look out. He still won, Army, but he looked like he completely locked it up.
What happened, the word we get, he did lock it up. The transmission is what locked up. I don't believe we're going to see this guy in the next round.
Well, Army, you're going to be the man that finds out. Wilkie's out of the truck, and Army's over to talk with a dejected USA 1 driver.
The biggest question in Roanoke, Virginia. Will you be able to come back in the True Value Chevrolet in the next round?
Army, that's the hardest question you've ever asked me. I don't believe so. It takes so long to change a transmission. I don't believe so. We blew the forward clutch pack out of the Turbo 400. And when you do that, you don't have second gear or third gear. You blow all of your forward gears.
The grave dig. We're going to find out later if Holman's prediction is true. In the meantime, USA 1 is being towed out of the Roanoke Civic Center in Roanoke, Virginia. We understand that he indeed will not be able to return. Chris Chapman is with him in the pits. We're going to go to her and see if we can get a word from Wilkie in a minute. Once again, this was the run where the transmission seemed to go away from Steve Wilkie. And Chris is standing by with Steve Wilkie now.
Steve Whiskey Business just made his way through the tunnel in the position where you rightfully should have been. What happened when you tried to get the USA 1 machine going?
Well, I burned up the forward clutch packs in the transmission. I broke the intermediate shaft. I have absolutely no forward gears. I do have reverse, so that leads me to believe that the intermediate shaft broke. We've done some things inside the transmission to try to make it lock harder, and I think it's locking too hard.
So why didn't you go onto the line anyway? You have reverse that still could have given you some of those valuable points.
Well, the thing is that when I get in there, number one, you're going to back to the line, and I feel it's robbing the public. And I wanted to, Roanoke deserves a good race, and I'm going to get chewed out for the boss for this, but that's true. They are valuable points, and again, I just didn't want to rob the public of it.
You're at the Roanoke Civic Center, Roanoke, Virginia, with the superstars of monster truck racing. It's the TNT Monster Truck Challenge here on Tuck Track. I'm Scott Douglas along with Army Armstrong. You're looking at Steve Wilkie a few moments ago, but Army in qualifying. Here's what happened to Wilkie. Watch it and look.
The big happening comes on the end of the track. Watch the front end, nose over, takes the brake, and Scott, he goes on his head. Second time for Wilkie, ninth time for the truck.
Wow, in qualifying, no less, Steve Wilkie, Ham Lake, Minnesota, driving for Everett Jasmer's stable, the USA 1 truck in a very familiar but unfriendly position, and that is on its route. Rod Lipsell made a habit of flipping that dude, and there's Steve Wilkie on top of it. And Army, we had talked so often about the fact that Wilkie was getting better and better and more aggressive like Lipsell. Boy, he has really come full circle now.
Yeah, he's definitely completed a 360-degree loop. He's a good driver. We've never doubted that. The problem seems to be with the center of gravity of that truck. Like I said, that truck has been upside down 9 times with 2 drivers. There's something wrong somewhere. The driver's okay. That's the main thing right now. And you got to remember, that was just qualifying. That's how tough the competition is.
Steve Wilkie now with the helmet off. We're going to look at the replay once again, Army. And I guess let's watch the wheels. That tells the story.
The front end nose over. See the bounce in the rear end? Now look for a brake light. It's on. The brake light indicates the front wheels are locked up. Only one way to go. That's on your head when that happens.
Indeed. The brake light told the story, and USA 1 is on its route. Army, let's bring it right to us this time from the end zone camera.
Gets back in kick, bounce, noses over, tags the brake a little bit. Now he's in no man's land. He's at the mercy of gravity. Driver's okay. The truck held up. Man, they've got to do some work to get that problem solved.
Army, driver error. You're not supposed to tag the brakes, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Is it driver area? The truck rolls over. He was going right at a wall. If he had hit the throttle, I believe he would have been in the wall. I think Wilkie did the only thing he could do.
Well, we're going to find out in just a moment. You see Steve working his way around, and we'll get a word from him after USA 1 lands on its top to start things off on this edition of Tough Tracks in Roanoke, Virginia. Well, Steve Wilkie is working his way over, and Army's going to talk with the USA 1 pilot.
Steve, first of all, are you okay?
I'm fine.
I can't think of anything you could have done different. I know you're kind of down on yourself right now. Nothing to be ashamed of. I have no idea what you could have done to get out of that mess.
I got to look at the videotape, Army. I don't know. There's a possibility I was on the brake. As well as anybody, that's a no-no.
You've got a high center of gravity in that truck. When it bounced higher than we've seen, in a long, long time. But you join a unique fraternity right now, the brotherhood of the guys that get on their head. I'm glad you're okay. I'm sorry it had to happen, but I know you and Everett Jasmer and the True Value people will regroup and come back after this thing.
Oh, you bet. Everett Jasmer has been in the business a long time. He understands. It's still tough to make the phone call to Army, as you know. But I think he started a couple weeks ago. And he asked me if I start driving like Rod Litzow. People, That's how I drive right, let's how I drive. That's going fast.
Back in Roanoke, Virginia Civic Center, the action already fast and furious inside the Roanoke Civic Center here on Tough Track. I'm Scott Douglas of Army Armstrong and Chris Chapman. You've seen it hot and heavy inside this week. You'll remember last week on Tough Track. It was action, action, action in the finals when Gravedigger T-Bone equalizer. Before we get started today, Army was able to spend some
The
time.
one colossally collectible vehicles in the world. If it doesn't say Micro Machines, it's not the real thing.
In just a minute, we'll see USA 1 in a first-round race. But our crunch of the week was last week's qualification run by Steve Wilkie and USA 1. Up, up, and over for Steve Wilkie and the USA 1 Chevrolet. Landing on his roof. It's been there before. Rod Lichtow made a habit of flipping that truck. Lichtow no longer the driver. Steve Wilkie took over late last year. He's been getting accustomed to the truck, and I guess you could get no more accustomed to USA 1 than this.
This is what happens when you touch the brakes in a monster truck.
And Steve Wilkie went flat head over heels. He put it on his roof, but he's got it back together, and he's going to be alive to race another day. We'll see him back in action, but one more time, the crunch of the week, Steve Wilkie and USA 1. Equalizer with a new driver, and USA 1 back in action when Tough Track returns on pit. We're ready to go with USA 1 to come out against the equalizer. And Army Armstrong is going to talk to Steve Wilkie about getting that truck ready to race in less than a day.
For those of you that follow monster truck racing, not an unfamiliar sight behind me. A crumpled two-value hardware USA 1 truck. Steve Wilkie, 24 hours ago, it was a beautiful truck. Now, beaten and banged up. You guys have been thrashing. Can you get this thing going again?
Oh, yeah, I mean, thanks to the guys back at the shop, Greg Knudsen and Mark Gerard, my crew chief here, we thrashed almost all night, and we've got permission to run it 100%.
So, the awesome, fearful phone call home to Ever Jasmer. So I would love to be an operator in his hometown when that phone call comes through on Saturday night. He's had some spooky phone calls, but this one, I have no idea what you could have done different with. The bounce of the truck was wrong or something. You look like you were just along for the ride.
Well, I mean, again, as we said, you know, after it happened there, you have to be able to jam the throttle to the floor, dry that front end out. The wall comes up awful fast, but I believe that I was at fault. And this fearful phone call to Mr. Jasmer Everett here, the thing about Everett, I have a lot of respect for him. He asked if we're all right, and if we're all right, can we put the truck back together? And if we can, let's run.
That's the word from the USA 1 camp. The equalizer is another timer on it. Yeah, but we don't know how hard he can go, Army. We found out that there's no front drive shaft for the equalizer.
What they say when the green light drops.
I'm going to tell you, despite the fact that he did not have a front drive shaft, the equalizer won it anyway.
What you're looking at are two racers. When they go to that starting line, the light goes green, they are racers. They don't care about anything but winning. And this is amazing, the fact that he takes the win. Not only the first time he's run the truck in competition, but he's running it in two-wheel drive.
And then there's contact at the end of the run. A week ago, moves into the semifinals this week in Roanoke, Virginia. Here we go with our next matchup, and there it is. Banged and beaten, but coming back for more. Steve Wilkie and the True Value USA 1 Chevrolet. And he'll face off with Bennett Clark out of Georgia and the Clydesdale Chevrolet.
Steve Wilkie's going through a ritual in there right now, Scott. If you watch him close when he comes to your town, he psychs himself up. You can see him. He's beating on himself like a lineman getting ready to make a head-on tackle in Oklahoma drill. He knows what he has to do. He's got to get pumped up to do it.
He's as intense as any competitor on the circuit.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. He's a good monster truck driver. Right there proves it. Man, if he can get the luck going his way, he's going to be a player.
He's the most improved guy in the circuit today. There's no question about it.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Here it is, Steve Wilkie's USA 1, really having no problems with a disabled Clydesdale. And Steve Wilkie, USA 1, moving in to the semifinals, the Final Four, 1 week after that terrible flip here in Roanoke, Virginia. We get the word from Steve Wilkie as Bennett Clark takes a look at his injured truck. Wilkie's in the next round.
You just might be one of these pressure guys. Is that the case? You just work best under pressure?
I don't know, I mean, we've had enough pressure put on us, and maybe it is. I'm pretty high-strung when I'm racing. I'm real intense. And if that's the case, then so be it.
You're still in it. We'll see you in that next round.
All right, thanks, Armin.
1 machine after a bad spill here in Roanoke last week. He's going to be taking on Awesome Kong in the first round of semifinal action. And our other pairing in semifinal action places the Mad Dog machine against Gary Porter and the Carolina Crusher. Going to be some super monster truck racing coming up here on Tough Track.
Boy, I love this first matchup, Chris. It's Awesome Kong making all that power, and Steve Wilkie just making a lot of magic in the USA 1 truck.
You got to be pulling for Wilkie, but really the odds-on favorite is going to have to go to Kong. Wilkie runs him hard. Kong goes to the final.
Wow, and again, almost an end-of-the-track collision as Kong had to lay it all on the line to barely edge out Steve Wilkie.
That, again, is another good... Boy, it was close, wasn't it? Got a good monster truck race. These people in Roanoke are...
You know, when I flipped the truck over in Roanoke, that was on Saturday night, and Sunday afternoon we had an event. And we stripped the truck down and took most of the bent parts off and went to the semifinal. So it's a matter of getting back on the horse to through it.
Dumping up there to take some damage. USA 1 is dumping up. Well, it doesn't have any front sheet metal damage left anyway. I think Steve's all right. Steve yelling over the Pablo to see if he's all right. 20 for the championship of the 38 TNT Monster Truck Challenge. You can't back off. We are now to the final four. The gentleman of the
matchup, though. The Auto Value King Crunch Special hooking up with USA 1. Scott Stevens against Steve Wilkie. Army, this ought to be a doozy.
Well, you know, Stevens runs a Chevrolet, a GMC with a new sponsor on the side. Everybody knows the story about Steve Wilkie coming up being the mechanic on the world champion USA 1, moves into the driver's seat. But you can look at the truck and tell it's been a hard road to hold for the USA 1 truck. Chevrolet in the white truck, GMC blue. That Chevrolet saw nothing but blue right there on that run.
Hang on. Scott Stevens does get the win in a wild run. Army's got radio communication with Stevens. Let's listen in.
Stevens through Auto Value Special. How'd it feel to you?
Man, still good. I just hope it was a legitimate pass. It looks good from here.
Moore never had the problem. Speaking of problems, this guy had a heck of them.
It's Steve Wilkie in the USA 1 Chevrolet. He has to go up against Gary Porter's Carolina Crusher. Right out of the chute, the Chevys hook up.
Both of these drivers are up in the points race. Neither one is going to give an inch to the other one. And it is, you know, you can feel the tension. Look at this. Porter, a good little hole shot. It may pay dividends. No, I don't know. I can't tell, Scott.
Tight battle. Now remember last week, it was Porter losing in the first round, but coming back to make it to the finals, he's going to have to get in on the fast loser rule again this week because Wilkie gets the victory in USA 1.
Yeah, but look at a shutout on this race. You talk about some heads-up driving. Porter has to bail out to the left when he hits the finish line. Wilkie knows to spread out the building, pedal to the metal.
Here's Chris with Steve Wilkie.
Steve, you came flying out of the pits. Did you think you won or lost that one?
I was on my way up to the video stand. There's a feeling you get inside when you win, and I knew I had a good pass, good straight pass, and I was in the throttle. It was really close, but I was going to see it for myself, and that came out and told me that I had won. That was my gut feeling.
So you thought you had it?
Yeah, it's a feeling, Chris. You know, you really, sometimes it comes down to inches, but you know inside.
Do you have any feelings about the outcome of tonight?
We're going to be out there standing on it, that's all I can tell you.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Hey, Scott, he talked about that being a straight run.
Maybe next time I'll get him.
So John Moore at least thinks Bigfoot can be had, but so far he hasn't been able to do it. USA 1 now out against Nightlife.
Well, a lot of guys think they can beat Bigfoot. They just need about 4 months to build a new truck. It's nothing secret what he has, but they just don't have time to build it and chase these points. Speaking of chasing points, Chevrolet side by side, line of air for Wilkie. Whoa! Yeah, they're both trying to fit through that door.
Fucking Broncos barely got him shut down. I thought USA 1 was going to launch it right through the roof of Tingley Coliseum. Watch the launch.
Big time air show. TNT Air Force right there, Scott.
Nightlife gets the win one more time. Dave Wysork and that brand new Nightlife Chevrolet putting away the 1988 World Champion. Here's Army and Dave.
You come out here.
Standing shot as well. The Auto Value King Crunch, that's Scott Stevens. Then there's the new one. Now, this is closest to you when they get ready to run. The brand new truck out of the Mad Dog stable from Missouri. It's the Micro Machines and Bert Fisher of Green Boys Racing Machine.
Well, John Bream, the innovator of the Green Boys Racing Team, picked Fisher to drive this truck. He's a past world champion in mud racing, but look at here. He's having all kind of problems. Steve Wilkie with USA 1 goes through to take the win. And Scott Stevens from Texas, Auto Value Special, he's having all kind of problems too. The 3 trucks are not a problem, Scott. These guys have got it all figured out. We're going to see a war before this night's over.
Micro Machine has done a lot of new tricks to this truck. And Army, some of the drivers were saying they really want to see this truck do well because they'd like to do some of the things that the sportscasters love to talk about great matchups on paper. Well, that's what we have here. If it can live up to the advanced billing, this is going to be a doozy. First, you got the Yankee, Steve Wilkie, and the 1988 World Champion USA 1, the True Value truck. He's flanked by a pair of big bad Texans on one side, Steve Kane and the awesome Kong Chevrolet, the janky racing engines ride. The other side, it's the Auto Value GMC, the King Crunch Special, and Scott Stevens from Woodlands, Texas.
Scott, you know one thing. Neither of these Texans are going to roll over, and I guarantee you Wilkie's going to hold them to the fire. This one run could be worth the price of admission. It's all. What's going to happen side by side to go over the first jump? Wilkie starts to come out. He's in trouble, up on the throttle.
Hold on to her, Steve. Get the brakes. He's into the hay bales at the end of the track. But that's what they're there for. They get him stopped. And Steve Wilkie, a wild but victorious ride in USA 1. Wow. They loved it in Texas Stadium as Steve Wilkie comes out of the center lane and just really put the hammer down, not worried about stopping, and barely did stop.
The bounce is what got him. Right here, he comes out a little lollygaggle to the left. Now, he's got a throttle. He can't turn. He's got a throttle up and goes over that left lane. Good driving. I'm glad the straw was there.
He gets her stopped, no question about it. The victory going to Steve Wilkie and the USA 1 Chevrolet. Here he comes out, True Value hat on, ready to go. And truck owner Everett Jasmer there with a high five. Army Armstrong's going to get in there.
Seems like there's all kind of little problems popping up at Texas Stadium tonight we haven't seen all year long. Everybody seems to be a little bit uptight. What's going on?
Long track, Army. We get to stretch the trucks out again. I laid down one that the truck, we changed gears, went back to the outdoor setup on it, and the True Value Master Mechanic Chevrolet is just humming. I come up against Awesome and Crunch in the indoor season all year and had some trouble with them. I owed them, and that's the way she's going to run, Army, I'm telling you right now.
Remember, the Crunch of the Week takes us back to Roanoke, Virginia. Remember this one, USA 1 over.
Bad bounce by Wilkie, and if you watch the replay we're going to show you, Wilkie stayed calm, cool in there. He was running at a walk, but he never hit the brakes. Wilkie told me afterwards he thought that he hit the brakes and caused the flip. That's not the case at all. You watch all four wheels on the replay, and keep moving. He did not tag the brakes. He did not cause the flip. The bounce is what caused this flip.
Roanoke, Virginia was the site back in February of this year, and Steve Wilkie, I'll tell you, no one gets more pumped up than Wilkie. He flipped it, he came out, and he was still fired up. Not happy about tearing up the truck, but he said, hey, I'm in the flip club. I can run this truck. Steve Wilkie's USA 1. We're going to get another look at the Crunch of the Week. That was Ken Duffy who came over, kind of batted helmets with him like other combatants do in other sports. Wilkie and USA 1 doing what Rod Liptow had done with that truck so many times. Not that they plan it this way, but it shows you that they will drive this truck right on the edge.
Okay, a bounce right there. Now it kicks over. All wheels are turning. See, they keep turning. He thought he hit the brakes. That's not the case. The bounce is what got him. Steve Wilkie, there wasn't a thing he could do about it except hang on and ride.
One of the real wild rides of 1990. On the right-hand side of your screen, he's head up against Risky Business, and it's Steve Wilkie, USA 1, fittingly getting the win, but it's on its route for the Crunch of the Week. Well, USA 1 has been put back together since that wild ride and since a subsequent crash in New York City a week later with Tough Enough. USA 1 is looking good tonight. Here he'll race Awesome Kong and Fanatic in the quarterfinal round.
Keep an eye on Awesome Kong. He'll be close to the camera going against one now. Fanatic moves on him. At half track, it looks good. Wilkie starts to leg it out a little bit. Awesome Kong goes back. And again, I can't tell. And they're going to the wall again, Scott.
Well, they almost collided at the end of the track. And one other thing to notice. First time run for the Fanatic. The lady Arlene Ed might not have quite as much truck as the others, but she is backing off not one little bit.
No, you'll notice on the replay, she ran with them over the first set of cars. Now is when horsepower takes over. You got a Janky engine and a Jasmer engine. What can I say? You got a whole lot of horsepower in an awfully close race.
Steve Wilkie, USA 1, popping out of the truck, getting a victory, and as always, he's pumped up. Army's ready for him. Let's go to that interview now.
Well, it kind of looks like the USA 1 of old. Steve, you got this thing on the roll tonight.
I'll tell you what, Army, 220 feet and a lot of shutdown. I'm using every square inch of the shutdown, but that's why we're running fast. Again, True Value, Chevrolet, all the people putting on these events at TNT Motorsports, I love it.
That guy says it all, doesn't he? Steve Wilkie, USA 1. He's intense. Hey, another guy who's intense is Mike Wine. Wine couldn't stop earlier, and she is just a win away from making the finals. If she wins this race against USA 1 and Master of Disaster, she'll go to the finals.
You know, she is a good monster truck driver, and she's also sitting in the middle lane, Scott. Look at this, the Master of Disaster. You got to watch, oh, far side. Look at the lead for the Disaster truck. USA 1 trying to pull him back in. No, Master Disaster is going to represent Chevrolet in the final, and once again has trouble shutting down.
He won that thing out of the hole, Army.
Oh, a whole shot put him away. He drilled the USA 1 truck on that starting line.
It's Master of Disaster, Doug Spanier. Fanatic broke on the cars. Arlene Ed unable to get rolling.
All about. Big John's going to be driving Bigfoot 4. You notice the missing of the yellow and the red stripe down the side of the truck that you've been watching the circuit on television with us. You knew the new truck, Bigfoot 8, was a race truck. This is Bigfoot 4. It is not designed to do this, but it does it awfully well.
A side by by side with old nemesis USA 1. Look out, Steve Wilkie. Oh, my. Steve Wilkie has gone into a generator that runs the laser light show at this TNT event and into the 45-second clock that Danny White and all the Cowboys, Troy Aikman and other quarterbacks look down there to find out the clock during a football game, and Steve Wilkie has gone through that 45-second clock.
He reminds me of my drill sergeant. He's still barking orders right now. He believes he's still in this. He is. Look at this. Wilkie is pumped. He's going to be back with that USA 1. That was just qualifying. Look at the bounce. This track is really weird. They're taking strange bounces and some heads-up driving by the Bigfoot driver, I might add, right there.
Yeah,
we
nice
could have had
job.
a disaster.
Yeah, John Pyatt got on the binders quick, but look at USA 1 smashing through a generator. Look at him scattering that end section as he then took out the scoreboard. It's a clock, 45-second clock, that was covered over by wood. Hopefully that'll keep it from being damaged too much, but Wilkie flat went through it.
Plus, you notice the straw that's set at the end of the track. Those are 1,000-pound straw bales that they're bouncing into. That's how hard these guys are running. You don't, there ain't no easy way to do this. You got to go hard.
Hey, Army, the racing's going to have to go some to top this qualifying round. USA 1 with that run, the fastest time so far. Chris Chapman's going to catch up with Steve Wilkie in the pits and see what's going on.
I didn't roll it.
Steve, what happened out there?
It's quick. You're going fast. I'm sorry, Chris. It just got to bouncing. I don't know. I think I cleared the last stack. She bounced, and I wasn't going over, Chris. I hammered it and then drove it out, and I tagged the wall. It's something I should have done a couple weeks ago in Roanoke. So I did right. We'll be back.
I understand they rebuilt the ramps today. They're steeper. Is that a factor?
Well, what happens, Chris, after you race on them for a night, the dirt gets pushed back down to the bottom of the ramp. And what they did actually is they pushed it up to the car, to the ramp. They didn't make them any steeper, I don't think. I made all kinds of horsepower. I turned about 7,300 RPM on the pass. Went to high gear, and she just laid it down. Bigfoot, all he saw was my tailgate. I'm sorry.
There's the word from Steve Wilkie, and I'll tell you, the rivalry between USA 1 and Bigfoot renewed now. But again, that's the Bigfoot 4 truck with John Pyatt, and he just had the 5th fastest time. Okay, here we go, side by side, 3 at a time, first round of competition. Most of these trucks will advance into the quarterfinals.
All the trucks lead side by side. Chevrolet on the middle lane, Chevrolet in the left lane. Chevrolet's going to take the win, and both drivers get them shut out, but Wilkie again. Well, Wilkie's taking the USA 1 to the limits. He didn't stop. He just motored out the door.
I don't know. I didn't see, and Steve may come over and hit me after I say this, I didn't see the same aggressive Steve Wilkie that we saw in the qualifying one. Let's watch it on the replay, Arnold.
Right now, Scott, what you have to remember, he does not have to win this round in order to come back.
You're right. They're both going to come back, but Crusher got the win over Wilkie.
Yeah, you're going into the
all
next.
out, but I say he looked a little gun-shy in that run. Let's see what Chris can find out.
Steve, do you think that hitting the wall during qualification hurt you during first-round competition? You got beat.
Well, I didn't get beat by much, Chris. We go out there, and because I did hit the wall, I wasn't going all out. I wanted to see what the truck would do. I wanted to see it would stay together. You know, it was the first 2 people advanced. As long as I advanced, that's all I'm worried about. The thing about it is that I knew Carolina was quick. I wanted to give him a good run, make him work hard, and in that, fill out our truck, and we'll be back to run as hard as we can next time. The True Value Mastercraft Chevrolet is out here to win in Texas.
All right, this matchup baked. And again, Texas Stadium, it's an open-air stadium, and the sun baked this course all day long.
Well, what happens, and Wilkie's getting upset. These guys are sitting on that starting line a long time. The engines are hot. But what happens, the big tires cannot dig into the clay, see? Now, Wilkie is really, he's becoming irate sitting up here, Scott.
Well, Awesome Kong is not ready. He has 5 minutes to get ready to go. Steve Wilkie doesn't like it a bit. Hey, let's go to the crunch of the week.
Hold on to your seats for the amazing crunch of the week. Brought to you by Micro Machines, the #1 colossally collectible vehicles in the world. If it doesn't say Micro Machines, it's not the real thing.
Let's go back to the wild qualifying round run of Steve Wilkie and USA 1. You talk about a crunch of the week. It's crunch at the end of Texas Stadium. Crunch. Wow. Steve Wilkie took out a generator, took out a 45-second clock for Troy Aikman. If he runs out of time this year during the football season, you'll know why. Steve Wilkie took his clock out. Man, oh man.
It's called cleaning your clock on that run right there.
Steve Wilkie's USA 1, the crunch of the week. Well, Kong is not going to make it, my friend. His 5 minutes is up. And it's going to be USA 1 going at it with Carolina Crusher.
Hey, Scott, something that's going on here, though. Andy Brass, the driver of Bigfoot 8, is trying to help Austin Kong on the far side. He was trying to help him. Now we go back to the race. And Wilkie muscles that USA 1 bad bounce. Bad bounce again, and Wilkie's in trouble.
This time it's a junk car that finally stops the True Value USA 1. Man, oh man, this guy is just putting run after run together. He avenges his first-round loss to the Crusher, and this time, I am not going to say Steve Wilkie looked gun-shy. He went full tilt.
Yeah, that was a full boogaloo double throw-down wall slapper right there. Look at this.
I got 10-1. You can't say that again.
You're right.
Here's Chris Chapman with Gary Ford. Bigfoot, frankly, was lucky to even be able to make the race. The win goes to Dave Wysorek and Nightlife. Chris Chapman is in the pits with Steve Wilkie. She's checking on the condition of USA 1.
Was the throttle stuck at one point?
Yeah, it was there's 2 sets of butterflies in those Predator carburetors, and when I hit the wall evidently the first time, the whole body of the carburetor shifted a little bit, and the body was hanging open. So when I fired, it would go right to full throttle. And my crew chief, Mark Gerard, does an excellent job. He came out here and grabbed the needle nose, and we got her fixed, and we're ready to run.
We got to get it back there now.
Okay, I'm sorry. Gotta go, Chris. Thank you very much.
Good luck.
We're here to win.
It's a treat anytime you bring a microphone and a camera over to the USA 1 pit. Hey, when we come back from this break, Doug Spanier and the master of disaster. He wants to make the finals again. To do it, he's going to have to beat Steve Wilkie in USA 1, and Wilkie has flat been letting it all hang out tonight. The other truck will be tough enough with Pablo Cruz.
Scott, this is the only race that counts tonight, because if you don't win here, you don't go to the final, you don't have a chance to win. And look at this. Wheels up, start like a pro stopper. Master disaster, come out of the left lane. Wilkie close the door in the middle. I don't know.
Master of Disaster got it. And Army, it was a strange race. Master of Disaster pulled it out of the hole, but USA 1 actually had the lead, or appeared to, when they hit the second set of cars. Let's really look closely at this replay. Well, here's the finish.
The bounce keeps coming back to win or lose by a bounce, Scott.
There you see it, half a wheel length.
Poor Pablo on the far side, he's working for a living too, isn't he?
Nose dove in on Tough Enough, but the Master of Disaster comes away with the victory. Right from the beginning, and pulls out the victory by about a length over the Outlaw, who tried to charge at the end. Here comes Dave Wysorek's Nightlife Chevrolet out of Grand Island, Nebraska. He takes on the USA 1 truck. Steve Wilkie driving for Everett Jasmer's True Value crew out of Ham Lake, Minnesota.
Yeah, exactly opposite ends of the spectrum here. On the right, the big buck sponsorship, the corporate involvement. On the left, the privateer, the guy that has to build a truck himself, work on himself, travel by himself. Who's going to win? We're going to find out right now. Only in America you're going to be able to see these guys go head to head. Wysorek kind of easy over the first set. Now he's going to try to come back on USA 1. God, I believe he did it. What do you think?
Flying out. It looked like fire or sparks or something from underneath the USA 1. He died right there on the cars, and Nightlife and Dave Wysorek gets the victory. Here on the replay, look underneath USA 1 as he heads for the second set, and you'll see something from underneath. Also notice that Wysorek really hammered it on the second set of cars. It looked like he took it easy on the first set and hit it hard for the second set. So while USA 1 tries to get off the cars, Army has worked his way over to Dave Wysorek of Nightlife.
For a year, you can't think about things like that. You got to block the wall out and all the flipping.
Well, you got to look at it. It was one of the rougher-looking, nastier spills we saw last year. David Morris, as you can see, came out of it very quickly and was okay. Greg Holbrook now in a different paint job, but it is still the equalizer. The new driver ready to go against Steve Wilkie and USA 1.
Greg Holbrook will not be intimidated by this truck. He's going to make Wilkie work for it. Now Wilkie's in trouble. Wilkie's in big-time trouble. He goes over.
He has sheared the axle, and both front wheels are gone from the USA 1 Chevrolet.
A little bit of a fire starting on the truck, it looks like now. The crew's going over. I believe Wilkie's up 1 year to the day, an exact 180-degree happening.
That's right, because it was USA 1 racing equalizer last year when Morris flipped. This time when they meet, it's Wilkie and USA 1 ending up on his roof. Mike Wine in the black driving suit there among those trying to make sure Steve Wilkie is okay down on the track.
We appreciate the Lakeside Rescue Squad for coming out right on the spot. You know, safety is something we're all pumped up over. The crowd can see him moving around, so he's going to be all right. But that, you know, people who ever doubt that this is a competitive motorsport, look at this. It doesn't get any tougher than this guy.
Steve Wilkie now trying to get out, as it were, as Mike Wine is taking his helmet out. Steve is talking to Mike Speller and the TNT people and the safety crews there, so obviously he's okay. They're just trying to get him out of the truck at this point.
Yeah, he rung his bell, though. You can tell he's a little bit slow. They're going to check him out. We'll get to him as soon as we can, Scott.
Wilkie is coming up on top of the truck, and we'll let everybody see that he's okay, to the roars of the crowd at Richmond International Raceway. And now he is looking at a complete wreck. Well, you talk about sticking a fork in a truck, it's done. That USA 1 Chevrolet has had it for tonight, and we don't know for how long. A lot of work coming up for that truck. Wilkie right now just trying to get his senses about him and look over the damage to his truck, and I'm sure make sure he's okay. And, well, he's just jumped right in there to the wreck.
I was going to say he's going to work now, but he has to make that dreaded phone call we were talking about to the owner of the truck. One of these days, Scott, we're going to have to take a camera crew and follow him when he makes one of those calls. That could be a historic event in motorsport.
He's probably hoping it's the last time he has to make that call. John Pye and a Bigfoot coming over to see if he's okay at this point, as it has been a rough ride for Steve Wilkie and the USA 1 Chevrolet. Let's watch it again, Army. See if you can figure out what happened.
He goes up, everything's good, but he's kiting to the left. Okay, it's yawing to the left. Now the left front wheel digs in right here and just physically pulls it out. Meanwhile, Holbrook is running hard trying to get away from him. You know something I noticed about Wilkie? He still maintained his composure, talking to everybody and getting his sponsors' decals ready for the television interview.
Steve, we finally got a chance to talk to you. First off, are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine, Chris.
What in the world happened out there?
Well, I come out the first stack, and again, we have to run so hard to try and keep pace with three-year-old equipment. I come out the first stack, and the rear end kicked up on me, and I was in the hammer driving the front end around, and I was crossed up going to the second stack, so I brought it around, and when I landed between the cars in the second stack, the front end let go and wrapped back underneath me.
What was going through your mind during all that?
Damn, I gotta go home and fix it.
Wilkie's been there before, and so is another former USA 1 driver who is this week's crew chief, Rod Litzel. Army Armstrong has Rod right now.
Well, right now we're standing with a gentleman that was involved in the very first flip of the USA 1 truck, took it to a world championship, but hey, that truck almost seems like it's been spooked, Rod Litzel.
Yeah, I think, you know, we're pushing the truck over its limits right now. It's fatigued, and it's gone over 8 times now, and we keep putting it back together, but I think it's time we got to come out with a new truck. We just pushed this truck too hard, and times are changing, and the truck ain't designed to keep up right now, so we have to renew it.
Say there's a fatigue factor. Where do you think the fatigue factor might be? Let me bring something out. This looked almost identical to me to the flip that you took in Louisville, Kentucky when you won the championship. It looked like something in the front of the truck curled under. Is that what happened?
Well, it was basically the same thing, but what happened in Louisville is the studs, we were testing different studs out, and the studs let go. In this deal here, where the studs are bolted to, the weld from fatigue is what let go. The whole weld let go, causing it to twist, and then it took the rest of the bolts out, causing it at this speed. You know, probably if I was going that speed back there, it would have done the same thing, but, you know, I wasn't hitting that speed. When he was hitting this speed, twisted it, and then he rolled right over the front set of tires, causing it to be a bad roll.
The words from from Rod Litzow in the aftermath of the USA 1 flip. Chris Chapman has caught up with Equalizer owner Gary Cook. Remember, his truck flipped here a year ago. You can see the entire front axle and wheel assembly being pulled up by that front end loader that is going to carry it off and help them get it put back together. USA 1 with yet another almost unbelievable flip here at Richmond, Virginia. The USA 1 saga continues, and you know what that leads us to? The crunch of the week.
Hold on to your seats for the amazing crunch of the week, brought to you by Micro Machines, the #1 colossally collectible vehicles in the world. If it doesn't say Micro Machines, it's not the real thing.
Army Armstrong, how about taking what Rod Litzow basically told us and now translating to what's watching it?
Well, what happened? The front suspension is a weak link in that particular truck. Not because it's really weak, it's just the fact that they run a stock Chevrolet frame that's reinforced, and you put those big old tires out there, you're slinging a lot of reciprocating weight. You cannot stop that kind of weight that quick without hurting something. The weight digs in. Watch the replay come up again. As soon as the left front wheel tags, then the whole front suspension comes around. Watch for the tag here. Now the whole front end goes away. That has to be one spooky ride, Scott.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, Greg Holbrook had to be a little bit spooked. As you can see him get over near the wall, he saw the USA 1 truck coming at him. One other thing, a good thing for Wilkie, that the truck went ahead and went on to the end of the ramp. If he'd have crashed like that on top of the cars, things could have been much worse. Luckily, Wilkie's okay. USA 1's not. What Equalizer and USA 1 were doing several weeks ago in Richmond, Virginia, when USA 1 took another one of his now patented spills. We're going to get a look at USA 1's problems last time we saw him, Army, in Richmond, Virginia.
Well, Scott, one of the problems the truck is having, the engineering on the truck, I want you to notice when he lands, the left front wheel actually hooks into something, and the chassis completely disintegrates, the front part of it, that is. They're going to have to go back to the drawing board like a lot of these other guys and build them a new truck, a stronger truck, and a lower center of gravity truck, I believe, Scott.
Well, you can see what happened the last time Steve Wilkie drove this baby in Richmond, Virginia. They took it back, went to work, but Army, one of the big stories is that it's not a new truck that's here in Flemington. We've been told that there'd be a new truck. It's not. It's the old truck with a new dress, if you will.
Yeah, they just put a new dress on the old girl. They're going to try to run hard. What Wilkie's going to try to do here is mess everybody else's night up. He's going to show them USA 1 Chevrolet is alive and well and is in Flemington, New Jersey.
And Chris Chapman is with Steve Wilkie.
I'm in the pits now with driver Steve Wilkie of the USA 1 truck, which we haven't seen in a while here on Tough Tracks. As you'll recall, he had a violent flip in Richmond, Virginia, and we didn't think we were going to be seeing that same USA 1 truck. But Steve, isn't it the same truck?
Yeah, Chris, it is. We went back to the shop and assessed the damage and assessed how much work we'd have to do to bring the new truck. We were, again, looking to go to the next event immediately. We missed a couple of events, unfortunately. And in doing that, we got enough work done where it was actually easier to put this truck back together than to try to finish the new truck and get to the next event.
Can you possibly feel safe in this truck that has been over, I know, 8 times?
Well, Chris, I do a lot of work on the truck myself, and to me it's very important. The people who work on it I trust with my life. Greg Knudsen, my metal man and top welder at the shop, I trust him again with my life. He's an ex-mud racer. He knows what it takes. He's been in this business 10 years. He's been in it as long as Everett has. Yes, I do feel safe in the truck. If I didn't, I certainly wouldn't be here.
The word, frankly, from Steve Wilkie. He feels safe in USA 1 and is ready to go.
Getting crooked on the first set, but we had a good run that time. Our truck does good usually in the worst lanes, so we're going to sock it to them.
Holbrook talking about those worst lane situations. He knows he's got to be in one tonight. Again, back to qualifying because he got the disqualification, the 3-second penalty. Now he's going to be a slower qualifier. That puts him in the bad lane all night long. The most consistent truck on the tour, maybe the Carolina Crusher. He's running USA 1 and beating him.
Yeah, Scott, that consistency you talk about is paying dividends tonight for the Carolina Crushers. Meanwhile, look on the other end of the track. The safety seems like they would have learned something in Myrtle Beach about putting vehicles at the end of the track. These trucks are going to get quicker as the night goes on. That could definitely be a problem. I don't think any major damage now. Crew member's going to check it out, but believe me, that could be a problem before we leave this town.
Of course, the big difference, though, at least these cars are sitting there to serve as barricades. The only thing is they may end up flat if they're going to serve as barricades as these trucks continue to quicken their pace throughout the evening. And those on the right lane may get some wild runs because Bigfoot and Equalizer are due to be there most of the night. Well, there you see the work being done to the USA 1 truck. Hey, a thumbs up. Everything's okay, except his head. Ouch.
Hey, Tough Tracks fans, when you come back, you're going to see the USA 1 Chevrolet up against the Jersey Outlaw, and it's going to be a battle, so stay tuned.
We'll be right back. Steve thinks he's got me in a quarterfinal round. Wrong. It's Ford versus Chevrolet. Ford with a brand new motor. Chevrolet's been running great all this year until he met the Outlaw. I got him. Next round, he's going down.
Andy Brass and Bigfoot Ace.
Scott, I tell you, the problem is not where he thinks it is. The problem is in the left and right movement of the suspension. The hole had nothing to do with it. The rear end is turning. They've got to get that figured out. Now, here's a truck that's running the same chassis that won the World Championship and has been upside down more than anybody, going up against a hometown boy. You talk about a crowd favorite, it's got to be the Outlaw.
USA 1 in the bad lane. Oh, the Outlaw is dead in the water. Steve Wilkie wins it in USA 1 as the Outlaw died on the first set of cars.
Oh, such a tough break. Well, Mike Wine, he was talking the talk, but he's not able to walk the walk as USA 1 will walk over into the next round.
A broken drive shaft eliminates the Outlaw on his home turf. You see the sparks there. That tells the story. USA 1 kind of squirrely on the run, but it didn't matter. He made it a legal run, and Steve Wilkie will work his way into the semifinal round. Right now, Army Armstrong is working his way over to talk to Steve Wilkie.
Steve, what's it feel like out there?
It's pretty slick, Army. The True Value Master Mechanic Chevrolet is making so much power tonight that when I come out the first stack, I really got to drive it around. Against Carolina Crusher, I was in and out, just come out straight. But anytime you lift in this sport, you're going to lose. And I made it a close race at Carolina, and I banged it a little harder against Jersey Outlaw. The mid-range seems to be drying up a little bit, but she looks good, and we're going to hammer it, and we're ready.
The word from Steve Wilkie. You know, earlier the Outlaw made a lot of noise. Power, Tough Tracks. The TNT Monster Truck Challenge is in Flemington, New Jersey. The semifinal round. It's Steve Wilkie's USA 1 going up against Wild Hair. Both of these trucks lost earlier tonight. Wild Hair got back because the truck that beat him broke, the Gravedigger. USA 1 came back as a fast loser. One of them going to the Monster Smash final.
Wilkie with USA 1 has the right lane figured out. He's going to the final, but right now he's got his hands full trying to stop. Whoa, he doesn't do it.
He ran into the barrier cars at the end of the track, but he's okay as the barrier cars did their job, kept him from going through the fence at the end of Flemington Speedway. Steve Wilkie's USA 1 will go to the Monster Smash final.
You know, Scott, the replay comes up. One of the things I've always noticed about this truck, it does not brake as quick as other trucks. I don't know why, but you watch him, he's bouncing. Brakes are no good while he's up in the air. Now he gets it to settle down, hits the brake.
Army, here comes Steve Wilkie.
Steve Wilkie, it's not old news. You've been here before, but it's been a while. It's final time. You're going to be one of two.
Yeah, Army, True Value Chevrolet, she's been running pretty good tonight. Track's a little greasy. She's coming around in the mid-range, but I've been able to make enough power in the top end to walk away. If I can keep it fairly straight coming off the top end, or the first stack there on the top end, I think I can beat him.
Steve Wilkie in USA 1 impressively coming back after the disaster of Richmond a while back on Tough Tracks. He has worked his way tonight on his return into the Monster Smash final, although the barrier cars at the end certainly saved him from some problems at the end of this run. Army Armstrong right now is going to grab a communication radio and talk to Scott Stevens as the Auto Value King punches. To go in the Monster Smash final with the Auto Value King Crunch, Scott Stevens from Woodlands, Texas, and from Ham Lake, Minnesota, the truck that won it all in '88, the USA 1 truck, the Chevrolet of Steve Wilkie, the Monster Smash final ready to go, and it's showtime.
Both drivers throttle up over the first jump. Wilkie looks like he moved first. He's down that right lane. Stop! The winner comes out of the main lane. Now can he stop it?
Yes, he can. No, I thought he had her stopped. He took the car through the fence, but the USA 1 truck has come away with the win.
That's called driving it out the back door to take a big win.
And a big win it is. Boy, you talk about rebuilding confidence, about pumping up a race team that needed to be pumped back up. Steve Wilkie and USA 1 left Richmond, Virginia in a shambles. They returned to TNT Racing, and they made it to the top, winning the Monster Smash Final convincingly over the Auto Value King Crunch.
Look at the chassis on the truck. Handles completely different than anybody else. I'm saying that because of the bounce.
Well, we knew that fence was in a bad spot when this night started, and it ended up biting the dust as going into the cars and then the fence. Steve Wilkie.
Listen to the crowd. USA! USA! How about it, Scott? These New Jersey people are having a ball.
And they're loving it. Your winner, Steve Wilkie, the USA 1 Chevrolet. He's out of the truck right now and accepting the accolades of the crowd. Scott Stevens now over to shake hands. Great race, and the Auto Value King Crunch had an outstanding night as well. And again, interesting to note that both these trucks lost earlier, but they learned from their losses, and USA 1 wins it. Wilkie will be now working his way over. So will Scott Stevens get over to talk to Army Armstrong about a great Monster Smash Final. Let's go down to Army and see what they've got to say.
In Flemington, New Jersey, either one of these guys literally could have gone bear hunting with a swish tonight. That was a double throwdown run. I think anybody had a shot. It was just the brakes went his way.
Yeah, USA 1 was really doing good coming back from the wreck they had a few weeks ago over in Richmond, you know. Wilkie had it, really going good, and I thought I had a good advantage. I put him in the bad lane, but I kind of knew the bad lane wasn't a bad lane because we beat Carolina out of it. And he was running good and getting quicker every pass, and, I just can't make no excuses. His truck was working good. Ours was working good. We were just off for a little bit tonight.
Yeah, nothing to be ashamed of. You got another shot next week here in New Jersey. We're going to let you get back to the crew, but we're going to talk to Steve. Everybody knew it was a short course, but you're the only guy that kept running into stuff on the other end. Why would your truck not stop?
Well, it's not the fact that it wouldn't stop, Army. I just don't get out of it until I'm across the finish line. I'll tell you what, in 1990 here outdoors, we're going to put one together, Army. We have to.
That allowed the USA 1 to come storming back and in the Monster Smash Final against the Auto Value King Crunch. After a month's worth of repairs, USA 1 was back in victory lane, and it was a very happy Steve Wilkie and the USA 1 crew that got the victory, albeit one they couldn't quite stop to enjoy for a minute at the end of the track in Flemington. Army Armstrongs with last week's winner, Steve Wilkie.
Well, the big story last week in Flemington, New Jersey, Scott, as you well know, was USA 1 came back. Like the Phoenix, came back from the grave because earlier in the year, about 6 weeks ago to be exact, USA 1 took a violent flip in Richmond, Virginia, and at that time, everybody in the sport, competitors, all people said, no way, these guys are through for the year. But that's not what you guys are made of, is it?
No, absolutely not, Army. True Value and Chevrolet give us enough backing and support where we go home and we've got enough dedication with the people back at the shop that we can take a truck out of the grave and rebuild it and come back and run strong and run with the best in the country.
Tell me about the wreck at Richmond.
It was a pretty violent one, Army. I come down in between the cars and the left front tire hooked the other lane of cars and actually twisted the axle, the left front tire out from underneath the truck, and drove right over it with the rear tires and barrel rolled it twice.
When you guys came to Flemington, New Jersey last week, a lot of people kind of went, wow, the gas, they couldn't believe you were here. But when you rolled in the gates, you had what we call 1,000-meter stare in your eyes. It was almost like you were destined to win this thing, and you did. But, man, it was not easy at all, was it? You had to really work for it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, any event that we come to, we know there's no easy competitor out here. It used to be that way a couple of years ago when the sport really got started, but not anymore. You've got to stand on it and stand on it all the time in order to win.
Well, speaking of tough competitors, right now Chris Chapman is standing with one of the toughest competitors. We understand she's on the other side of the fence with a Bigfoot crew.
Run of a week ago, and we're going to see if he can now keep it straight. Bigfoot obviously corrected his problem. We'll see Equalizer line up against last week's winner. Now, I know they're qualifying, but Equalizer, I think, would like to show Steve Wilkie right now that his truck is to be reckoned with.
Yeah, each driver wants to bloody the other one's nose right now. Wilkie's going to get that honor. The confidence. When you win in this game, you get all kind of confidence. There's proof of it right there. That's a whole new Steve Wilkie. We got big problems on the other side of this camp.
He just completely left the cars, did not even try to get over and make a legal pass, which he could have done to get himself put in the field.
Might be a transmission problem, Scott. We'll see if we can find out.
We see USA 1 had no problems. His run was excellent, but this qualification place.
Yeah, but right now, everybody's going after everybody. It's like an old-time street fight. Man, nobody's giving anybody anything. Look who comes out right now. These guys will hit you just to see a smile come on their face.
What a matchup. Grave Digger and USA 1. Every fan is either standing or right at the edge of their seat ready for this one. USA 1, Steve Wilkie, Grave Digger, Dennis Anderson. Early on, they're going head-to-head.
Neither one of them really known to be good stoppers on the end of the track. What's going to happen?
I don't know who won. We're going to have to check the replay.
I don't know who's going to stop.
Well, that's the best stop USA 1's had in 2 weeks.
I'll come back over the wall now.
Grave Digger just cut the turn and made it okay. We're just going to have to look at the replay, Army.
I have no idea. I was jumping over a fence when they went across the finish line. I'll be real honest with you.
Wow, what a race. Grave Digger and USA 1. Here they come again, Army. Let's see if we can tell a winner. We're still waiting on the official word.
Scott, and you make this call. It looks like Grave Digger. Now, right there, there's your finish line. Grave Digger.
It is Dennis Anderson and the Grave Digger getting the victory by a whisker over Steve Wilkie and USA 1. I'll bet Wilkie comes back as a fast loser. Here we go again. Grave Digger and USA 1 from another angle, and Dennis Anderson pulls it out by a whisker. Let's go to Army Armstrong.
Dennis, you both came over here saying who won?
Back with the superstars of monster truck racing on tough tracks in Flemington, New Jersey, as Steve Wilkie, who won here a week ago, brings USA 1 out to take on John Moore and the no-problem Ford Bronco.
You know, Steve Wilkie, to say he's had a peaks and valleys year would be an understatement. Because, man, when he was on a roll, he was unbeatable. But when he was having problems, everybody was thumping him. Let's see what's going to happen here. John Moore's going to take him to the left. Look at Moore. Half-track Moore's got him. Wilkie goes down the tube. John Moore puts the USA 1 away. And look at his crew chief wife, Heidi.
Heidi Moore celebrating as John Moore and no problem getting a huge win, upsetting the 1988 world champion, Steve Wilkie in USA 1, and he just beat him. I mean, there wasn't...
He just flat put him away. Wilkie drove a good race. I think Wilkie took a bad bounce right here, had the back pedal. That's all it took for Moore. He went straight for his throat.
Well, you're right. He really got it up and down, up and down. We'll get another look as they come right at you on the right of your screen. John Moore in the no problem. A nice smooth run. You can see USA 1 getting up and down quite a bit. And the victory goes to John and Heidi for the Ford Bronco, known as No Problem with John Moore. But on the trailer early and very disappointed, I'm sure, Steve Wilkie, who got the win here on Tough Tracks a week ago, but comes up short, losing 2 straight races here tonight. Chris is over with Steve Wilkie.
Steve, the car just didn't fall your way this time.
Well, this is a tough run. For some reason, I come out the first stack and did a horrendous wheelie in the mid-range, and I knew only pulling in 2-wheel drive, John's tough, and that's racing. You know, I must have put it in a hole in the first stack there, and she wheelied out the stack, and tried to stay in it, feather and play with it, but you do that and you lose, Chris.
This tour.
Thanks, Army. Another truck that's won several events on this Fast and Furious New York tour is USA 1. Driver Steve Wilkie, how are you guys holding up under this pace?
Oh, I don't know, Chris. We hurt the truck the other day here, and that was the first time, you know, in 7 days that we've hurt the truck. So actually, we're holding up pretty well.
Now, you have won several events. What does that make you feel like as a driver out here, as a racer, competitor?
Well, confidence is always a good thing when you're driving a monster truck or driving any race vehicle. It gives you a lot of confidence. Being a new driver now, I've been at it, you know, about a year, and mostly indoors. But when you go outdoors with our truck, it's one of the fastest trucks in the country, I believe. And, you know, in saying that, if I can drive it, it's going to win.
Speaking of fast trucks, this is a very, very fast course that we're getting ready to race here tonight in West Lebanon. What do you think about it, at the conditions? It's been raining here most of the day.
Well, I need to correct you. It was a fast course, Chris. You know, we were looking at hitting the second stack close to 60, 65, 70 miles an hour when we first pulled in this morning, and we got a downpour here in the valley, and now we're down 35, maybe 40 miles an hour, if that, and there's going to be a lot of trucks out of shape.
Let's go back now to Scott and Army.
Thanks, Chris.
What I'm telling you is the USA 1 truck is going to be trying to qualify in this shot against Rambo out of the high side of the track. His truck will have a tendency to go to the right. The Rambo truck's going to have a tendency to go to the left. I'm talking camera right, left. This could be an awesome qualifying shot.
This is qualifying Rambo and USA 1.
Okay, right there.
USA 1 wants the cars, and that is exactly what Army was talking about, you know. Now, Steve Wilkie's going to have to get a penalty and re-qualify because he didn't stay on the cars. Army, explain the rule at the end of the run here.
Okay, the rule is that both front tires must touch what you're jumping. Now, the right front tire did not touch, but this changes the whole complexity of this event for Wilkie because there's no way he's going to have lane choice, and that's going to be critical in winning this event tonight.
Let's go over to Chris Chapman, who's with Steve Wilkie.
Steve, during qualifications, it looked like USA 1's power was taking you straight into the stand.
Oh, definitely, Chris. It's not a horsepower track tonight because of the rain. They dried the track out as best they could, and I knew as soon as I went to high gear that my horsepower would take over. And once that happens, the True Value Chevrolet just kind of come around on me. She went out from underneath me, and I had to pedal it and get back in it.
Scary feeling?
Well, when you're pointing it at the fans who pay the bills, yeah, it is.
So it's going to be changing a whole lot from low to high, but hopefully the track's going to be slick enough that it's not going to hurt nothing.
Chris Chapman there with Scott Stevens of the Auto Value King Crunch. You're looking at Steve Wilkie. Now remember, he has to re-qualify because here on his qualifying attempt, he went off the cars. Watch him on the second stack. He did not get both those front wheels up, and he did not keep at least 2 wheels over the car.
Scott, one thing you must remember at this point, no matter how fast he goes, they're going to tag a penalty on him. So believe me, he is going to come after you big time. Good straight run. Good run. But it still goes to the right at the end of the track, Bud.
Outstanding run for Steve Wilkie in USA 1. Look at this. His time would have been the fastest of the night. But because of a 3-second penalty, he'll be back in the pack when we drop the qualifying bracket. Still, Steve Wilkie in USA 1 serving notice that he's going to be a handful as this night goes on at West Pleasant. Qualified on a qualifying run, had to come back, take a 3-second penalty, which dropped him down in the field. He comes back against Rambo. Bill Weaver in Rambo was actually 3rd fastest.
Rambo is another vehicle that doesn't travel the whole circuit with us. We're glad to have him with us tonight, and he's showing he can muscle up and run with these guys, and Wilkie's trying to prove a point. Who's going to come out? Scott, do you believe it? Look at this run.
Oh, they made contact at the end of the run. Let's see what Rambo's on 2 wheels. Now he gets all 4 back down. They actually collided at the end of the run, and I don't know who got the victory. They'll have to take this one to the photo finish tape, but Army, watch the end of the run as they collide.
What you got to remember, both trucks are trying to compensate, and they dive right into each other.
Wow. USA 1 and Rambo making contact. Boy, I'll tell you, they came across the line together. There's Steve Wilkie. He's running around. He wants to see the timing tape, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's running to the end of the track to check the finish line timing tape. He believes he won it.
Well, he's waiting, and God,
boy, he gets it.
I think they told him he did win. Let's go down to Chris. She's over with Steve Wilkie.
What's wrong?
I'm just making sure I hit the cars. Again, it's so slick out in the mid-range. I come out the first stack, and she went nose over. But his left front was coming in. You can see where he hit me with his left front tire. Everett's not going to be happy about that. But True Value Chevrolet, I'll tell you what, it's crazy out here. It's too slick to be good for anybody.
You all did come together. Could you tell how did that happen?
Yeah, his left front tire hit me right in the driver door. There's no doubt about it.
The crowd's chanting your name right now. We still, I don't think, have a decision on a winner. Can you tell?
Again, you just put the camera on the truck, guys. Thank you. True Value Chevrolet, Top Tracks, everybody that puts them on. I'll tell you what, it's great, and I wouldn't be doing anything else in the world. Thank you.
Scott, you know, an interesting point here. The USA 1 team, to my knowledge, is the only team that ever complains about the track conditions, saying it's not fast or whatever. These guys are going to have to learn that they're going to have to adjust to the track. You cannot make the track adjust to them. The other drivers have done it. Look at Rambo. He cuts them out of nowhere. He may have pulled the upset of the year.
Listen. Boy, the crowd just chanting USA 1. They think he's won, but look, Army, I think Rambo got him on the replay.
Boy, it's close.
It's awful close. They're still checking. It looks to us like Rambo, but they have not declared the official winner. Chris, what's going on?
Need to verify something. Do you think that Rambo came into your lane and hit you?
Oh, no, absolutely not. That's something that happens in racing. No, we came together. I was going to the middle. He was going to the middle. My point was that was his left front tire, and if his left front tire hit me there, I had to be in front of him. And they just announced that I lost. I need to see the tape. I'm sorry, Chris. Again, everybody that puts them on, I'd like to thank you, but I need to get back to racing. I'm sorry.
Indeed, the call goes to Rambo, and Steve Wilkie doesn't believe it yet. It's time for the Crunch of the Week, and we're going to introduce you to our new friend, the Cruncher on the Crunch of the Week.
Cruncher here. This Crunch of the Week ain't a pretty sight. Brought to you by Glue, makers of micro machines and Tough Tracks vehicles. Are you tough enough for Tough Tracks?
Okay, Army, stay away from the crunchers, brother. I'm going to keep you out of trouble here. Here's the Crunch of the Week. Rambo and USA 1. Making contact at the end. Both drivers okay. Good runs. Rambo wins it, and we may see USA 1 back as a fast loser a little later. But then the truck's okay for Dave White's Oregon Nightlife, but it is a defeat for the Chevrolet out of Nebraska. Well, this is not deja vu, not a replay, but they're going to go side by side for the third time tonight. They lined up this way in qualifying. Then in the first round, you'll remember, Rambo beat USA 1 when the two trucks collided at the end of the track. So I guess it's kind of poetic justice that they'll meet again to settle it. Here they go. This time, USA 1 has it covered.
No question, yeah. Now, Wilkie used his head on that run. He did not use his horsepower. He used his head, and he's going to the next round. That's the trick.
Boy, they both really got up on their sides. However, both trucks pulled it back down. And you talk about using his head, Army. Indeed, I think that was a big difference. He took this thing completely under control and then really aired it out.
Exactly. Now, see, he's coming off the bit. He's not worried about the lane to the left. He's going to be straight. Now, he pulls that big trigger on that True Value Chevrolet and goes into the winner's column.
Boy, when he pulled the trigger, he unloaded both barrels because he really explodes over the second set of cars. This time they're coming right at us. Again, nice straight, make sure he stays in good shape. Didn't worry that Rambo had a little bit of a lead off that first set, and boy, did he explode over the second set. Wilkie gets the victory.
See, part of being a professional driver is being able to maintain yourself and come back. I really thought you lost it. You seem like you're really upset after that first round loss, but you did come back. You're still in it.
Yeah, I mean, you can see where his right front tire hit my driver's door, and when that happens, I got to be in front of him. But looking at the timing tape, I'm just going by what they tell me. I'm pretty high-strung when I'm racing, as we've discussed before, and all I can do is thank True Value Chevrolet, Everett, and all the guys back at the shop for getting us here. My crew chief this week, John Rose. So that's all I can do, just pound on him.
Now, you got one more thing you can do. Let's go to the next round. We'll see you there.
That's right, equalizer.
Equalizer indeed. Steve Wilkie knows that's his opponent in the semifinal round. But that's coming later. We've still got more sensational quarterfinal round action. Carolina Crush underdogs taking advantage of these track conditions because it was so slick earlier. And, you know, they're lucky to even be able to race tonight. We had some upsets in the first couple of rounds. But look in the final four. You got four of the biggest guns going. Equalizer, USA 1, Carolina Crusher, and the Auto Value King Crunch.
Well, two of the trucks have had that second chance. That's the Carolina Crusher and the USA 1. They do not, I repeat, do not want to make that second mistake. If they do this time, they're going into the box just like Bigfoot. But look who comes out now. You talk about a dream race for the Chevrolet people.
Equalizer and USA 1.
The kid out of Tennessee's got USA 1 covered. Wilkie never tried to come back on him. How do you believe that?
I want to see the replay. Army looks a little squirrely again. He can't seem to keep that truck straight on this track.
The right lane, like skipping a rock when you were a kid on a pond. If it goes straight, it goes straight. If you get a little bit of trouble, that's it.
Equalizer with the victory over USA 1. We're going to get a look at the replay, and you'll see exactly what Army was talking about in terms of that lane. Wilkie just gets a little bit off, and there's no correcting it, apparently, once you're in trouble on that lane.
Now, once you try to steer back, it kills horsepower. The guy that goes straight goes to the final will be the blue truck, Scott.
That's the equalizer. Here's Greg Holbrook with Army. But the winner is the equalizer truck, and now Wilkie is headed back toward the pit area. Chris Chapman will probably get a word with him in a second, but let's take another look at the replay, Army, between this race, because certainly we focused on USA 1's problems, but this is an outstanding shot by the equalizer.
You know, this is a battle of two different philosophies. Look how quiet and reserved Holbrook is. On the other side of the coin, you got a USA 1 driver that pounds nails with his fist to get pumped up, but they both go head-to-head.
Talking about him, you're talking about Steve Wilkie. As we look at Greg Holbrook, Chris has tracked down Steve Wilkie and is going to get a chance to talk to the driver of USA 1 right now.
Steve, you were kind of slow off the line. Were you trying a different strategy?
Yeah, Chris, I was trying not to spin coming off the line, get some forward momentum, then hammer it, drive it over the cars, more or less like I did in that second qualifying pass, and come off the cars and powered it, and I was catching them, and she drove herself around the mid-range again.
That's the story from the USA 1 camp. Steve Wilkie, a real roller coaster ride tonight. Had his ups and downs, and he ends up a little bit short, losing in the semifinal part of the country.
Well, yeah, and these people are used to seeing some good racing. I'm glad to be up here at the Monster Trucks. They make this Northern Tour once a year, and good people are seeing good racing tonight at a great facility.
And two guys that are seeing a lot of each other. USA 1 and Rambo last week here at West Lebanon. They ran each other 3 times, qualifying and then twice in racing, and here they'll go side by side qualifying again.
One big difference tonight would lean towards the horsepower track, but Rambo's running him tough. Oh, both drivers still. You know, this is like two guys in a street fight. Neither one is going to give an inch. I don't know how they're going to call that.
For the second week in a row, USA 1 is disqualified on his qualification run, and he's going to have to go back, run again with a 3-second penalty. He's backing right up. He's going to go ahead and run right now.
Yeah, look how hard Wilkie ran the Rambo truck, but both front tires did not touch the final center cars, and he knows it. Like you say, he's going right back to the line. Replay comes from the end-row camera.
This will be a great shot to show you why Rambo was legal, USA 1 was not. Rambo got those first 2 wheels up. USA 1 didn't. And so Steve Wilkie is going to have to do it again. But remember, no matter how good this run is, it'll have 3 seconds of a penalty added onto it.
This camera angle on the end of the track is phenomenal. Great job by the camera crew. Shows you it's not just sitting in a truck and driving. You got to really work out there. And Wilkie goes right back to the line. No excuses, but nobody in the other lane to intimidate him either. Let's see what kind of time he turns.
Excellent shot by Steve Wilkie. Hold her down, Steve. And, you know, you can really see on the replay, and here again on that camera angle in live action, that he is really fighting it inside that cab.
Well, he gets pumped anyway, and it just carries over to his driving style.
You know what's ironic? With the 3-second penalty, USA 1 is going to be 13th. But if that would have been a legal qualifying run on the first shot, or if this one would have counted without the penalty, he'd have been second fastest in qualifying. So obviously Wilkie got a great shot down, but he's got to somehow control it on that first set.
Scott, where it's going to hurt him, he will not have lane choice. They're going to be pushing him around all night long wherever they want him.
That's a great point, because no matter who Steve Wilkie races, the opponent will have lane choice throughout the night. Chris Chapman has caught up with Steve Wilkie, and he's always got something interesting to say. Here's Chris.
Steve, looked like during that first qualification run that you were trying to get out of Rambo's way, which is what got you DQ'd.
Well, in a way, I really wasn't watching him. I come out the first stack and checked a little bit to the inside, and I actually overcorrected. That was my fault.
So Steve Wilkie, right to the point. I'll tell you, I do like that about Steve Wilkie. You know, if there's something wrong with the equipment, he tells us. But if he makes a mistake, he's the first one to come tell you, hey, I blew it.
Yeah, and also he brought out something else, something that's mandatory in a good racer. He wasn't watching the other guy. He drives his own race. Now, speaking of
legal run for the Rambo truck, so he gets the win over the Star Monster. Rambo based in Hastings, New York, and Star Monster in Syracuse. Here we go. I've been looking forward to this one. A couple of real hard chargers here. Scott Stevens, the All Value King Crunch out of Texas, to take on from Ham Lake, Minnesota, Steve Wilkie, USA 1. The first ever World Championship of Monster Truck Racing was that USA 1 truck.
First center side by side. What's going to happen? They're both going to go big time. All right, Wilkie. Oh, Stevens is in trouble.
But he gets her shut down, and he's okay. A great run for Steve Wilkie and the USA 1 truck. he gets the victory.
God, this ought to be a good interview now.
He's always a good interview, but when he wins, he tends to be fiery.
Watch Stevens on this run, though. He's having the problem in the left lane that everybody else was having in the right lane. The truck is hooking to the right.
And that hook cost him a chance to win right there. There seems to be no doubt about it, because they were even until he took that little right turn. Here we go again, Army.
Actually, the truck hooks twice. Watch it. Over the first jump, it'll hook now. He throttles back in it, but at the finish line, it hooks again. And Wilkie just straight as an arrow.
Steve Wilkie gets the victory. First, let's go to Chris Chapman.
Fire in his eyes. He wants a win every time. Meanwhile, we're looking at the yellow truck of the Carolina Crusher going into the lanes against Wilkie. That truck, for all intents and purposes, only has 5 more races. It's already sold.
This ought to be a dandy race, the renewal of one of the great rivalries in the sport. These two guys have been warring for years. Ever since monster truck racing became a side-by-side sport, these two guys have been going head-to-head.
He who goes straight will go to the next round, Scott.
They're pretty even.
Oh, what a run!
Sensational race, and Carolina Crusher holds on for a narrow victory over USA 1. If this track would have been another 10 feet longer, USA 1 would have won the race.
Yeah, he was mile an hour him on the other end, but the finish line is the finish line. Gary Porter out just a little bit and held on for the big win. That is an impressive win considering the age of that truck, Scott.
Absolutely no question that that race was won on the starting line by Gary Porter in his Carolina Crusher. Again, watch how quickly Crusher gets out of the hole. He has the lead over the first set of cars. USA 1 closes strong, but not fast enough, and Gary Porter gets the victory. Now he's with Armin, who's with the beaten Steve Wilkie of USA 1.
Steve, it did look like you got a little crooked, a little sideways off that first set of cars. Maybe that was what was the difference.
Yeah, I lined up a little different down on the bottom side here, and when I did that, I hammered the throttle, and the truck moved on the starting line like that, so I hit the actually hit the stack crooked.
Looked like you were also a little out of control there at the end.
No, never.
A little humor from USA 1. We'll be right back on Tough Tracks.
Sessions, these monster truck races are very, very intense. And the reason that they're so intense is the quicker time gives you lane choice all night long. And in Chris's interview with Andy Brass, he said how important it was to get a good combination on each individual track. This track, the book is a little bit loose. Will not hold a whole lot of horsepower. That'll mean the Outlaw should have an advantage in this qualifying round. But believe me, qualifying is definitely important to monster trucks.
USA 1 on the left-hand side, left-hand lane, coming up and come off of the cars. Outlaw's run is a good one, but USA 1 is going to be disqualified in that run, Army. The rule saying you have to exit with both tires on one side of the cars, and they're saying USA 1 did not do that.
Well, the replay comes up and shows that the track made the right call on it, and it also gets back to what I was saying. Qualifying is important. You've got to go hard. Wilkie was going hard. He just couldn't stay on the track.
So he'll take a 3-second penalty and be forced to come back and qualify again. So USA 1 is going to have a terrible qualifying time because no matter what he does here, they'll add 3 seconds to it.
Yeah, he has lost lane choice. Steve Wilkie, look at this, a perfect run. And Wilkie came back, adjusted, and went straight as an arrow, but he's still going to be down. He's got to come from behind if he's going to have a chance at all tonight at Stafford.
Outstanding qualifying time, best run of the night at 7.24, but you got to add 3 more seconds, so a 10.24 will set him on back in the pack. Make no doubt about it, though, he's fast tonight.
Steve, seems like you've been getting into a bad habit of re-qualifying and getting that additional 3 seconds.
Yeah, Chris, I don't know. They're out here 20 minutes before event time watering the track down, and any truck that makes a lot of tire speed or, you know, the fast trucks, I'm going to come out the first stack and get squirrely. I don't really know why it happened. We have to look at the videotape, but the True Value Chevrolet showed its stuff in the second pass, and I don't know. I hope I can chop it down enough by making the second pass to get somewhere in there.
Now, Scott, he just told us something. He does not like a watering the track, but he's proven it, a point that we've been saying all year long. If he adjusts to the track, he can go straight. The track will not adjust to you.
Chapman and the entire Tough Track production team bringing you all the great action from the Northeast. It's USA 1 from Ham Lake, Minnesota, the True Value Chevrolet of Steve Wilkie out of the Everett Jasper stable. And there's Bennett Clark out of Powder Springs, Georgia, the Clydesdale Chevrolet.
One thing that's going to happen here is Wilkie is in the bad lane. He is someplace he does not want to be. He cannot afford to shoot himself in the foot. He's got to come back from behind. And this Georgia Chevrolet is not going to let him do it. He's going to push him hard out the back door. Wilkie in a little bit of trouble. Wilkie in big trouble now, Scott. He's going over.
It has happened again. The USA 1 truck has landed on its roof for the 9th time, ladies and gentlemen. Steve Wilkie looks like he's coming out of the truck. There's Greg Holbrook over to check on his old adversary, and Wilkie is indeed coming out of the truck on his own power. Wow, Bennett Clark checking to see if he's okay.
You know, a lot of people think monster truck racing is not real racing. You don't get any more out of any motorsport than this sport right there, and that proves it. About a $75,000 to $80,000 accident.
Wilkie is flat upset. You know, I think he has kind of just had enough, Army.
You know, Wilkie, his personality is kind of like a guy with a short quick. He doesn't have a whole lot of patience when things go wrong, and right now, a whole lot of things went wrong right there. He tried to correct it. It comes back, but again, the truck high sides, and like you say, he's got to hold the world's record for the most flips in a monster truck. What'd you say, 9 times on the lid?
Well, that truck has gone over again. Listen to this. You can hear the crowd chanting USA. They're excited, but I'll tell you, Wilkie not happy with this run at all. Army, we've got to address one topic right here. 9 times. Is this a safe truck? Should it be out here?
Yeah, the truck's safe. I mean, it wouldn't live if it weren't a safe truck. I think it's designed wrong. The center of gravity, I believe, is way too high. And once it starts to high side, you're in trouble. But when he rolls over and the camera stops, look, both the wheels came off the rim. He just had a whole handful of problems. And remember, the 3-second deficit caught him right there. He was trying to come from behind. Steve Wilkie is a good driver. It's a good truck. But he's got to learn to adjust his style to the track. Again, I told you he had a short wick. He is pumped up, and the crowd can feel it. The crowd is chanting, USA, USA.
Well, he's upset. Flat upset right now. He's dreading that phone call to Minnesota to tell Everett Jasper that the truck has again landed on its roof. Now, let me clarify one thing. That's 9 flips for the truck. Rod Litzow took it over several times, and now Steve Wilkie, I think, has probably gone past Rod's number of flipping them, but in all, that truck has flipped 9 times in TNT racing competition, and certainly it has taken a beating. They're going to get it back righted now, and indeed, it's back up on all fours. Well, we've seen the last of that truck for tonight.
Yeah, we've seen the last of it for tonight, but I guarantee we haven't seen the last of it for the year. Like Chevrolet says, they build tough trucks. This truck will be back. They're already thinking about how to put it back together, but again, I cannot stress how tough the competition is for this world championship.
And we can't point out enough how critical the disqualification and qualifying was, because if it wasn't for the disqualification, Wilkie would have had fast time and lane choice all night, but instead he gets stuffed into what apparently is a bad lane and lands on his roof. There he is. Chris Chapman's with him.
Steve, I don't think 9 times charm.
No, Chris, I don't know. I don't know what I have to do. The field's running so fast. I got a hammer on it, and again, I don't know what happened. I know I was crossed up in the middle and just stayed in the throttle, tried to drive it around. The True Value Chevrolet, she's tough. We're going to do everything we can tonight to try and put it back together. You know, I don't know what to say. Everett Jasmer and Greg Knutson and everybody, Mark Gerard, my crew chief, everybody back at the shop, they worked their tails off, and I just don't know what to say, Chris.
Steve, is there any point, this has happened to you an awful lot, is there any point where you say, oh no, this is it, it's over?
Well, Chris, it's my job to not only drive them, but to build them too, so I'm responsible too. I don't know what happened. The front studs snapped out the springs. But again, you know, I personally, of course, would like to see a new truck out, but that's up to the boss. I got to do with what I got right now.
During the little episode, when we jumped in the air, It looked to me like when my front end was up in the air, he was coming across in front of me. I thought I was going to come down on him. As I hit the ground, you know, he began to tumble in front of me, and I was standing on the brakes as hard as I could and trying to avoid him because I looked like I was headed right for the cab with the tires. I was glad I missed him.
What went through your mind? Should I lock him up? Should I go faster? What?
Well, when I was in the air, I had to hit the gas as I came down. But when I came down, I was giving it the gas. When I saw he was in front of me, you know, I just said the heck with the race. I was just trying to keep from hitting him because I knew I was headed straight for the cab part of the truck.
Well, you going to be all right to come back and run?
Yeah, I've replaced everything. We're ready to go now.
Good luck, Bennett.
Thank you, Chris.
Punch of the week indeed, USA 1.
But I know what caused that accident. In the crunch of the week, the left front wheel came off the rim. That's what caused the accident. Wilkie, there was nothing he could do.
Now, you remember, this wreck looks an awful lot like it. This was the last flip for USA 1 in June, Richmond, Virginia. See, the front end just kind of rips away from the wheels and the axle assembly. Now, this time it doesn't completely rip away, but there were a lot of similarities.
Yeah, basically, the only similarity I saw is when the truck goes up, it has a tendency to go to the left. What caused this wreck tonight was the left front wheel, literally, you know, the tire separated from the wheel. That's, you know, in any race, that's going to get you in trouble.
So again, the problems on the front end, the wheels, the axle, something up front, again takes USA 1 out. He lands on his roof for a 9th time.
You might wonder why the tire can separate. Remember,
and he comes up with the victory. The other big story from a week ago, the 9th flip for this truck. The True Value USA 1 Chevrolet. Steve Wilkie goes over again. USA 1 in a very familiar spot, upside down. So Steve Wilkie's truck sustained all that damage from a week ago. The first question is, can he even race today? Chris Chapman is standing by with Steve Wilkie to get us a status update on the USA 1 Chevrolet.
Thanks, Scott. Last week here on Tough Tracks, we saw USA 1 go end over end in a violent flip at Stafford Springs, Connecticut. Joining us now is Steve Wilkie, driver of USA 1. Steve, rehash that experience.
Well, Chris, as always, it's kind of hard to explain. Stafford Springs is an excellent track. It's a favorite of ours because it's long, it's fast, it's exciting for the public, and we enjoy coming here. What happened was I come out the first stack and had to drive it around the mid-range a little bit, and again, you're always in the throttle, you're always here to win, and I hit the second stack, a little bit of an angle, and the truck come up onto its side, as the people saw, and as the truck hit, the front studs that hold the springs in sheared off. Thusly, the tire hit the body of the truck, and I almost drove it out. I was amazed when I saw the videotape, but when the tire stuck on the body, there was just nothing you can do.
Well, this occurred last week on Tough Tracks. In actuality, it's been 24 hours, less than 24 hours since that flip, and you've almost got this truck back together, it looks like. Will you be able to run tonight?
Oh, we plan to run tonight, Chris. The people of Stafford Springs and the people in the viewing audience deserve it. That's why we're here. We're professionals. My crew chief in the background here, Mark Gerard, and I have been working all night. We've been conspiring with the boss at home and determining what we can do and what we can't do. If you take a shot at the truck here, it's only got 2 carburetors on it and 3 shocks on the front. We've limited ourselves. We're not going to be 100% USA 1, you know, let's fly 14 cars type stuff, but the True Value Chevrolet is tough. We're going to show the people that we can come out here and play with the best of them, so to speak.
Steve, you look exhausted. Do you feel physically ready, and do you have faith in this truck to come back out there tonight?
Well, because of the people back at the shop, you always have faith in the truck. But again, it's not going to be 100%, Chris. I'd like to stress it. I'd say it's going to be a 3/4 pass. I'm going to give them something that they can ooh and ah about and say, hey, you flipped the truck over last night, and they do an excellent job in bringing that truck back here. No matter how far I go in the eliminations, it's a matter of pride for both me and Mark to just get it there.
Steve, we'll be keeping our fingers crossed for you, and we'll see later on if Steve Wilkie and crew chief can get it back together and give it that USA 1 effort. Back to you, Scott.
Okay, Chris, we're going to be looking at qualifying 5.9, second fastest time. So despite Bigfoot's awesome run, it looks like he's only going to gain 1 point on equalizer in qualifying.
Hey, but look who's coming up now. The fans are chanting USA
week ago. You saw it earlier on Tough Tracks. I am just amazed that Steve Wilkie and the USA 1 crew have that truck back and ready to go. I would not expect him to hit it very hard. Yeah, he's going to do the wise thing and just get the truck rolling and qualify for this race.
Marvin Smith will move into the next round, but a lot of people really like the USA 1 truck. Wilkie, being a professional driver, using his head, got a chance to see the truck. I have to wait till next year to see it at 100%.
He's got himself into the race safely, however, with a legal qualifying run. Marvin Smith has a good run as well, 8.52. That'll put him 8th fastest in the qualifying round. Now, the qualifications set the first round of competition. Here's the way it'll shake down. USA 1 is safely in, but he goes in as the number 14 qualifier in this 14-truck field. Our first round will match up with the fast qualifier coming out. That being the answer there, you know, Arm?
Yeah, I asked him a question. It's Chris asked him a question. She asked him what time it is. I tell her how to build a clock. Speaking of building a clock, these guys completely rebuilt this Chevrolet coming to the line now.
No problem, the Ford Bronco taking on that USA 1 Chevrolet, and look at John Moore go.
John Moore is amazing tonight. The right chassis, the right wheel base. John Moore is going to be a player in Connecticut before this whole thing is over. I guarantee you, he's got that look in his eye.
No mercy, no problem knows that USA 1 had to rebuild that truck all night. John Moore says, I'm going for the juggler, and he hits it hard.
No problem is taking no prisoners in Connecticut. He is for real.
Big win for John Moore and the no problem Ford Bronco as he knocks off one of the legends, the USA 1 Chevrolet of Steve Wilkie. He ran it harder than expected, but he falls short to John Moore. No question about the fact that John Moore and the no problem Ford Bronco is running very, very well. Well, the USA 1 truck did give it a good run. Let's go to Chris with Steve Wilkie.
Steve, a job well done.
Well, Chris, for True Value Chevrolet, you always want to do better. We did the best we could. When I left here, the fans weren't running for some reason, and I couldn't get a hold of Mark. And when I left the starting line, I was making 240 degrees. But I think I give the fans, you know, something to remember me by, so to speak.
Are you satisfied? You've really been busting your butt after the past 24 hours. You got out there and you got through the first round.
Well, Chris, I want to go do it again. Any true competitor, anybody that's in our sport, they don't do it for the paycheck. And, you know, I do it for the fans and True Value Chevrolet. You guys, you know, it gives you guys a job, right? And it's really something. It's a feeling that I can't explain.
We'll get some rest and we'll see you next time.
Oh, you bet.
I didn't know Steve Wilkie signed your paycheck now, Army.